Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range, cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.
We are the nation of domination.
What is up? What is up, Eagles Nation? Welcome to another episode of Bird Gang Nation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Bird Gang 31, or maybe you should say the Prophet Bird Gang, because I have been letting you guys know all year long that this time was coming. We are here, Super Bowl week. We're about to have the biggest game of the season coming up, and we're about to win and bring back another one of these guys. So how's everybody doing today? We got a very special show for you guys today. You know, we actually got two shows, this one and the next one, but we're going to stick to this one right now. This one we got, you know, our boy FARZETTA is going to be on the show any moment now. You know, he had a little delay, but he is coming. And then later on the show, we're going to have DARIUS DAULTON, you know, is going to be on the show. You know, brought him out of retirement. So how's everybody doing? And, you know, how y'all feeling about this week? Oh, we got him in. Farzy!
What's happening, BG? What's going on, brother? How you been?
How you doing?
Oh, man. Just, you know, having the time of my life. You know what I'm saying? Just the time of my life. You know what they tell you? What they don't tell you when you have kids, you know, and I'm sure you know this, nobody tells you that the little guys can get sick. Like, what the hell's that? Right? That's stupid, right? So my son, who's never thrown up, he's only a year old. Oh, my God. It was like I took him out last night. Just drinking all night. And he was just like, oh, you have an interview, Dad? Guess what? The party starts. And blah, just all over the place. And I'm like, I got to be out with my man BG. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, Dad. That's right. Okay, yeah, by all means, go ahead. No, I had to wait for Mama Dukes to come to the rescue.
I know how that rolls. You know, we're family, man, first. You know, we got to take care of the little ones. Take care of the little ones, man.
Absolutely.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Super Bowl week, man. We're Super Bowl week. Farzy, I told you this was going to happen for you. I told you this.
You told me that we were going to get Ndamukong Suh, I believe. I believe you told me that. I believe you told me they were going to get Linval Joseph, and there we are. And then you told me they're going to make the Super Bowl. And here we are. You prognosticator, you.
Here we are, man. I'm excited, man. How do you feel so far? You know, I noticed that the first opening week of the Super Bowl week, like, they did some different things this year, and I thought it was pretty awesome to see these guys out there doing things. How'd you enjoy?
I loved it. I absolutely, no question about it, loved it. I thought they did a fantastic job. I actually opened my show this morning with, hey, brace yourself for this because we're not used to saying this. The NFL did a great job. Yeah. The NFL did an amazing job. I have only been to one media night, and that was 5 years ago at the Super Bowl with the Eagles, of course. But I've watched, I don't know how many, 20, 30, whatever. This was the best one I've ever seen by far. The way they presented it, the way they had Chris Jones up there with Brandon Graham, and then they also had Patrick Mahomes up there with Jalen Hurts, and then split the difference right in the middle was our man Sal Paolantonio. I thought it was great. I even enjoyed the Cooper Manning stuff that he was doing. I liked that he was dressed as a big goofball cowboy, obviously. But I loved that Jalen Hurts enjoyed it, had fun with it, but still got the message across like, hey, man, I know you're dressed like that, but I just want to say, I love you. I love your entire family. You guys have been great to me. It's such an inspiration. I thought that was so awesome. I thought the NFL did a wonderful job, top to bottom, with their presentation yesterday. The Kelsey brothers and their mom coming out. I mean, it doesn't get – she had cookies of all things. It was great. I thought they did a wonderful job. I was very entertained.
Yeah, how do you think that works out, man? Talk about tough life. You got two kids, in the Super Bowl playing against each other, double jersey wearing. That's crazy.
Yeah, I feel bad for any brothers in high school that are like pretty good. Maybe they're getting recruited. Maybe there's talk, and their parents are looking at them right now like, don't mess this up for us, okay? We want to be like the Kelseys. Don't mess this up. Don't mess this up for us. But no, in all seriousness, I just think it's a great thing, and I think that it's a pretty incredible thing for two guys the first time in history. Well, really, you look at it like this: two guys for the first time in history are going head to head as brothers, and then for the first time in history, two black quarterbacks are going at it as well. That is what a historic Super Bowl. And then you throw in all the stuff with Andy Reid and how he fired Nick Sirianni in Kansas City. This might be the Super Bowl of storylines. This is something that people are looking at and just go, man, any angle. Like, the Super Bowl always has mass appeal because of the commercials. This Super Bowl has mass appeal simply because of the story. Like, everybody can relate. Every mother can watch this game and think to themselves, oh my goodness, what if I had two kids playing in this game? That would be amazing. And I loved what she had to say when she was asked, about the rooting for question and all that. She's rooting for whoever has the ball. You can't go wrong. If you root for whoever has the ball, you can't go wrong. And I was thinking about it like this. If you've ever played a fantasy football game, like where maybe you owned Ezekiel Elliott and maybe you own Miles Sanders, that's nonstop action, man. When the Eagles are playing the Cowboys, that's nonstop action.
Yeah. And it'd be crazy, because you heard it in Travis's voice. She's like, Jason's not a good loser. You know what I'm saying? When he loses, he goes kind of crazy. And Travis, he might be able to take a shot or two. Like, how do you really feel about that? Like, that's crazy. Like, you and your brother going against it in the Super Bowl. You can tell they're trying to get the parents to sway either way. If you watch
oh, my God.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how would you do that if you're the parent? Like if you were the parent, would you go talk to the loser first, or would you go talk to the winner first? How would that work out?
I think the winner has enough things going on. I think you're going to go over to the loser. You're going to go over to the one that doesn't come away the winner. That's what you're probably going to do as a parent. But just back to Jason and Travis. Did you catch them at all last night when they were doing their media sessions?
When they were doing individual meetings.
Okay. So Jason Kelsey is getting asked about his brother. And like, hey, facing your brother, what's that like? And he's just like, hey, everybody, if you want to send some bad juju in the direction of anyone, send it in the direction of Travis Kelsey. He wears number 87. He wears number 87 there on the Chiefs. So make sure you just send all the bad vibes his way. And of course, he was kidding and he was smiling and it was funny. But then they went over to Travis Kelsey and they said to Travis Kelsey, they said, hey, what do you think about playing your brother? And it could not have been a more beautiful, poetically stated, how much I love my brother speech from Travis Kelsey, and he did not take any rips or digs at his older brother. It was hilarious, and I'm like, now that right there is the older brother, younger brother relationship that so many of us can identify with.
You can totally tell Travis loves him. Like Travis loves this guy, man. They're really close out there, and you can tell, I like him because I'd be like watching New Heights, and I'd be like, man, these guys are really good together. Like, they're
Yeah.
brothers, but they're the best at their positions, top in the league, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they're doing it, 2 Super Bowl teams right now. Like, there could be nothing, a script can be written better than that, you know what I'm saying? And like, he's always showing love, you can tell Jason's kind of the big brother there. You know what I'm saying? He kind of keeps it. He's more organized, and Travis is more off key, off center. He can say whatever comes out of his mouth. He doesn't really care about it. He's like more younger generation. Jason's kind of older generation.
Totally, absolutely.
Do you think? Do you think both of them going to? But let's go with this. Do you think both of them going to the Hall of Fame?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think Travis Kelce is going to be the best tight. I mean, to me, if you're the best at your position in the league for a decade, you're in, man. You are in the Hall of Fame, and I think Travis Kelce certainly fits that bill when it comes to the tight end position of the last decade, and will be a decade, obviously, at the NFL level. So I think he absolutely makes the Hall of Fame. Has already won a Super Bowl, as we know. Is back in another one, as we know. We know the whole storyline there, and I think they're both shoo-ins for the Hall of Fame. I mean, when you look at this game, I think Jason is definitely in. Right now, could retire now and is in the Hall of Fame. I think Travis gets in eventually. But I think if they lock up that win, if the Chiefs do, which I don't expect them to, then yeah, you're talking about surefire Hall of Famer.
Yeah, for like I'm trying to say, like I heard someone say, like, who actually has the better career, out of the two. And it's like it's kind of hard to say. They play 2 different positions, but I don't know. Yeah. Jason's like, I feel like Jason Kelce's kind of been the best center forever. You know what I'm saying? Like Travis, there was the Gronk era a little bit. He kind of came a little bit after the Gronk. It was kind of going on in the fade. And then you had like, Kittles was a lot better than everybody for like a year or two before he started falling off a little bit. Yeah. You got our boy Zach Ertz over there. You know what I'm saying? Like there was some really good tight ends. Like,
sure.
Compared to like, Jason was like just the best to me. Like there was no other better center than him. Like for a long time, it feels like. That he just doesn't, for a guy his size, doing it the way he does it, So I don't know. Who would you say had the better career?
I would say Jason had the better career, and I think the easiest reason why is look how many coaches he's done it under. I mean, he was drafted by Andy Reid, played for Chip Kelly, played for Doug Peterson, plays for Nick Sirianni, and still you have a continuously all-pro center at the position. It doesn't matter. That guy just cleans house, and it's wild to watch him now because he's always been great at getting off the line of scrimmage and getting downfield and making those blocks, and that is still the best thing he does. But watching him at the line of scrimmage, make his calls, make his shifts, all of that, he has gotten better at as his career has gone on as well. I mean, from the minute he stepped out there, even his rookie season, he could get off the line of scrimmage and make that block, 10, 15 yards down the line of down the field. But as he's gotten older, he has gotten that dad strength. He has gotten that man strength where he can stand there as the undersized center that he is and really put up a fight with some of those bigger interior defensive linemen. So I've watched him get better as his career has gone on. It's just a matter of whether or not he wants to be like Brandon Graham and keep kicking after this year for at least a couple, 2, 3, 4 more years, or if it's going to be something where Jason Kelce is saying, you know what, I think I've had enough at the end of this one.
Yeah, man. A player I want to definitely talk about, Like, actually, before we jump to this player real fast, I wanted to ask you, who do you think is better here? Do you think Dallas Goedert is even close to being on the level of Jason Kelce? Because I think Goedert is right there because he pass blocks a little bit better, I believe. You know what I'm saying? And he can still do the catching. So how do you feel about these two? Do you think Goedert can pass Kelce anytime soon? And who do you think have the better game?
Yes. Dallas Goedert is one of the best tight ends in football. Dallas Goedert is one of the best tight ends in football. He is right
number
now.
One, though.
Wait, is he number one?
Yeah. Do you still give it to Kelce?
I still give it to Travis Kelce. But in terms of all around and impact, I mean, Travis Kelce is the guy that you're going to with the football when the game's on the line. Dallas Goedert isn't there, at least not yet. But in terms of talent level, he's up there. I mean, I definitely have him above George Kittle. I definitely have him above George Kittle. I mean, you're looking at a guy, and I feel bad for him.
He's number 2.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what really separates him is that he does have that pass catching ability. He does have that yards after the catch ability. And on top of that, as you mentioned, his pass blocking and run blocking is amazing. What I always go back to, because I've never heard anyone ever say this out loud into a microphone in front of cameras, the way Jason Kelce said this about Dallas Goedert. If you remember, I want to say it was the year after the Super Bowl, they went to Atlanta, and all of a sudden, people were blaming the pressure in the air because they opened and closed the roof in Atlanta, did a stadium there real quick, right? And people were blaming that, and people were dropping like flies. One of the guys that got hurt, Alshon Jeffrey, I think Deshaun Jackson, and Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert all of a sudden wasn't available because he hurt his hamstring during warmups, so he can't play. The Tuesday after that game, I remember being in the Eagles locker room talking to Jason Kelsey, and he was telling me and a group of other reporters, once Dallas went out, that we had to throw away half our playbook because they couldn't call the run plays that they wanted to call without Dallas Goedert being one of the blockers on those plays. I don't ever hear that said ever about any tight end, I should say. So for him to miss that game and for them to have to rip up their playbook because of it seems a little odd, but that's one hell of a compliment for somebody. It really shows that you miss them when they have that kind of ability.
Yeah. And what I was going to go to next was, I want to talk a little bit about some of these defensive players. Let's talk about the main one on our defense right now. Haason Reddick has been beasting throughout this playoff, my guy. Look at this, man. 70 sacks, number one in NFL, including the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Sack percentage, 11.2, first in NFL. Pressures, 284. This is crazy. This guy's been on fire this whole time, man. Do you think this is the number one mistake the NFL's done is, deny this guy the privilege to be Defensive Player of the Year?
Yeah. I mean, the unfortunate thing for whatever reason is he doesn't have that name. For whatever reason, Nick Bosa has that name, and he's been doing it for a long time. So is Haason Reddick. But, I mean, Haason Reddick, look, hey, I'm the type of guy, other than Brandon Graham not getting any consideration for Comeback Player of the Year, the biggest jip we might have experienced throughout this entire time might be what we're going through right now in watching our boy Haason Reddick. Because he went out there and played with a chip on his shoulder. He went out there in the NFC Championship game. He handled his business against San Francisco. And you know who was the star of that game? Haason Reddick. You know who was not the star of the game? You know who was nearly invisible in that game? You know who got beat in that game by Lane Johnson, who's a guy that's playing with half a groin right now?
Yeah.
That'd be Nick Bosa. So, yes, Haason Reddick, star of the show.
Yeah, man. And then, on the other side of the ball, they got, what's his name again? Jones over there. Jones is doing his thing. Chris Jones.
Yeah, Chris Jones.
He's had a great year. But I feel like, who do you think could be more impactful in this game? Haason Reddick off the edge or Chris Jones more towards the middle?
It's not even close. Haason Reddick, by 1,000, can be more effective. Because, okay, you're going to stop Chris Jones. This offensive line is going to stop Chris Jones. Who's next? Who else is going to get to the quarterback? Nobody is going to get to the quarterback on that Kansas City Chiefs defense because this offensive line is going to put up and they are going to own that defensive line once they stop Chris Jones. I had Ray Didinger on the show today, and he was talking about the same thing. I asked him the same question you just asked me. You can contain one guy who is the threat when your offensive line is this good. But if you're going to stop Haason Reddick, okay, good luck to you. Guess who's coming around the other side? Josh Sweat's coming around the other side. Then guess what else is going to happen? You're going to have to push up the middle with another, 10-plus sack guy in Javon Hargrave. Oh, how about this? Brandon Graham is refreshed on the sidelines. He's coming into the game. What you going to do now? Then you got Fletcher Cox always providing a push in the middle as well. So you got a bevy. Oh, he's a little winded. Linval Joseph, come on down. Ndamukong Suh, come on down. You have all these, the depth on your defensive line is incredible. So just to go off on this for one second, that's why it's so hard to look at Jonathan Gannon and be like, wow, he does such a great job, because Howie Roseman stacked this defense. And he stacked this defense in a way that absolutely fits the philosophy of Jonathan Gannon, which is I don't want to blitz. I'm not going to blitz. Go win your one-on-one battles up front. And that's how we're going to get pressure, and that's how we're also going to make sure that we have the best secondary in football with James Bradbury and Darius Slay and a healthy Avonte Maddox and C.D. Deuce and also having Reed Blankenship come in and have himself a hell of a rookie campaign.
I'm glad you said that now because I was on defense of Jonathan Gannon because I feel like every dominating defense has a lot of good players.
Yeah.
Every dominating defense has a lot of good players. But like you said, do you think that Howie did that on purpose? He had to overload it for him, give him enough where you cannot say it was my fault for not having the players this time, because some defenses that are really good. Look at San Francisco. They got some star players on that defense of San Francisco, but they don't have a bunch of star players. Like even the Legion of Boom, you can go like maybe 7, 8 star deep. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like us, you might look at Sue and Linval Joseph as being like older players, but these guys are still beasts. They're still monsters in the game. You know what I'm saying? They won. I know Dominican's won some Super Bowls, and he's still nasty. He's actually played better since the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I think he had a sack last week. So do you think it's that thing where Jonathan really isn't that good? Or he's good and we got good players, and so you're seeing the benefits from that?
I think he is good. I don't think you just trip into 70 sacks. I mean, I'll give him credit for that. I don't think you just trip into 2 years in a row being a top 10 defense in points and yards. So I think that's not a mistake. But one adjustment, and I think the number one thing is you got to see adjustments from somebody to see how good they are. This year, I've seen him run a lot more games. I've seen a lot more TEs and ETs being run by the defensive line to help get pressure without necessarily having to send a blitz. That's an adjustment. I give him a lot of credit for that. But other than that, it still hasn't been much more aggressive than what it was last season. And that does tell me that if I am doling out credit, Jonathan Gannon is a distant second to Howie Roseman, because Howie stacked the team, as you said, and Jonathan Gannon really hasn't changed all that much. I mean, we talk about the defensive line all the time. Let's not forget he went out there and got James Bradbury as well. So every time everybody, here's the thing that's so crazy about this Eagles team. When you try to reverse engineer the Eagles, is what I like to call it when you're looking at it from, in this case, you're looking at it from the Chiefs' eyes, right? If you're looking at it from Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, and you're looking at this defense and you're going, all right, how do I beat this defense? It's like, all right, you got to contain the pass rush. You got to make sure you're winning your battles at the line of scrimmage. And it's like, okay, well, once you do that, then you got the best secondary in football to throw into. So good luck in level 2. Okay, so you're going to try to throw deep. All right, well, you look at a guy like Reed Blankenship who could pick you off deep. You also look at a guy like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson who can also pick you off deep, who missed, 5 games, 4 games this season, still led the NFL in interceptions. Not too bad. So it's such an amazingly diverse team, versatile. I bring it up all the time. When you look at teams like when you look at NFL teams, really any professional sports team, really, you say to yourself a lot, okay, well, what's their identity? And the Eagles are so unbelievably versatile. They're a chameleon. They have no one true identity because
on either side of the ball.
On either side of the ball.
On either side of the ball.
They want to throw. They want to run. They'll do that. They want to be able to blitz. They want to be able to be aggressive at the line of scrimmage. They can do it when they choose to. And when they do that, you got to throw into James Bradbury, Avonte Maddox, and into Darius Slay. So yeah, pick your poison with this team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, we look like Darius want to join us early. All right, Darius, let's bring it on, buddy. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hi, man. What's up, my guy?
What's up, Darius?
Man, we are living large at this point in time, y'all. I mean, the birds are in the bowl. Come on now.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just ecstatic, the fact that we're even back in here, and it's just like I'm still drunk off of 2017, and I think that the events that happened from 17 to 2020, and then the revamp of the whole entire organization. Now we're back at this point in time. It's just like, whoa, what just happened right now? We're already back in the Super Bowl. Okay, let's do it again.
Yeah, man, it's great, man. It's great. But I think we had one too. I had to come to you too, Darius. I told you this in the beginning. I told you what was going to happen. Jalen Hurts MVP, and he's not yet. But I don't know. Do you think there's any possibility that he actually does get over Patrick Mahomes? Both of you guys.
I don't. I don't. I think it's sealed. I love the guy, but I don't think it's happening.
What was that question again? I was not able to hear.
Do you think it's any way possible he actually does get the MVP? Because he's a finalist, right?
You're right.
I know they say that they already pick him by now. But I'm like, why do you wait so long? You're waiting to see extra stuff. Maybe they're waiting to see him in the playoffs and see him light it up or something like that. Like see how the Eagles play with him in the playoffs before they actually made that decision. Because you take away those 2 games, that's a lot of stats that you could have added on to Jalen. And when you look at rushing, the Eagles, number 1 ever with 39 rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts having 15, 16 of those, right? Yeah. He's like, that's a different level than the quarterback. His quarterback numbers are great too. He ended the season with 1-on-1 quarterback rate. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want him to pass better. He came out and he passed better the whole season long. The man is only he's 16-1 right now as a starting quarterback this season. Like, we've seen Patty Mahomes throw interceptions at the end of the games to cost the Chiefs the games. We haven't seen that from Jalen Hurts, and I feel like he's played, flawlessly this year. Like, even his bad games aren't really that bad. You look at it, he might not threw for many yards, but he had some rushing yards, or he had a couple touchdowns. So, do you think there's any possibility that happened at all, or is that just
I think as much as I would love for that, and as much as I would like for people to understand that, yes, guys, dual threat quarterbacks could be really one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks in the game. But at this point in time, look, the guy we're playing on the other side, over 40 touchdowns, and this is after losing Tyreek Hill, where we're all thinking, okay, well, they're clearly going to take a step back. He's passed for the most yards in his career, 5,200 yards. So I'm still going to give the nod to Patrick Mahomes just because of, again, what he's still able to go ahead and do, even though he lost such a massive talent in Tyreek Hill. And it's just been him, Travis Kelce. Then you'll see, Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster and whoever else, Mecole Hardman. So I would still give the nod to Patrick Mahomes. But that, make no mistake about it, though, I believe that Jalen Hurts is a close second just because of the team overall impact itself. I mean, for crying out loud, his record, and it's not even just from this season. You're going back to even the middle of last year, once we started to get on that run and we was able to make that playoff push towards the end of last season. His record is phenomenal. And I know that there's always an argument about wins is not necessarily a quarterback stat, but if a team is starting to win a lot of games with a particular quarterback behind center, then he's clearly impactful. He's clearly doing something that not a lot of other quarterbacks are able to go ahead and do. And again, we're making a case for Gardner Minshew. Well, he played solid against the Dallas Cowboys, but then he played so flat against the New Orleans Saints to the point in time where we're just like, hold on, we need Jalen Hurts. So we had to go ahead and play him on a bum shoulder week 18 to make sure we solidify the number one seed. So I believe Jalen Hurts is a close second. I believe he'll be a runner-up. I'll still give the nod to Patrick Mahomes just because, he is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Far's shaking his head, too, like he agrees with all that.
Yeah. It's absolutely. I think the thing that I think most people are looking at that vote for the MVP is that if you took Patrick Mahomes, put him on this Eagles team with this receiving core,
you don't be a balance. My biggest thing with that is you're not a balanced football team. Everybody knows Andy Reid. We had Andy Reid. He took us to 5 straight, NFC championships, 1 Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? We know he likes to throw the football. When you're throwing the football 40, 50 times, if Jalen Hurts threw the football 40 times a game, you know what I'm saying, at the rate that he was throwing it this year with the 2 receivers he had, you don't think he would have more passing yards? That's not his game, though. That's not the game for the overall team. It makes us a balanced team, the fact that he impacts both. And like you were saying earlier, we've seen the Chiefs play half a game almost a half a game last week with their backup still doing the same things, as opposed to when Jalen wasn't playing. Regardless on that Dallas game, I think Minshew was still trashed that Dallas game, period. I didn't like Minshew. I think he played awful this year. He needs to get out of here. We need a better backup quarterback. But off Minshew, we've seen how the team responds when Jalen's not in that game. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a little bit of stuff that's like a little bit more than just the X's and O's when it comes to who's a better quarterback. To me, I think Jalen's a better quarterback. I think Patty's had his time. He's gotten paid for having his time. And it's cool seeing the trick shots that he do, the backyard football stuff. But that's going to be the detriment to his downfall of this Super Bowl is all that extra time trying to stretch out the time and try to, maneuver because we got too many dogs in there. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I believe that Jalen should get the MVP over Patty Mahomes.
Yeah. It's all great points. I don't disagree necessarily. I disagree about Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes is the better quarterback. Right now, it's certainly not far off. Normally when you look at a quarterback position, you go into the Super Bowl, you're like, Patrick Mahomes, and who's the other guy? Patrick Mahomes far and away better. Not in this. It's very close, which is, again, why I think the Eagles still win this game. But regardless, your identity is Patrick Mahomes, and I think that makes him the MVP. And if you're going to take him and put him on this Eagles team with these weapons, run or not, you're still going to be putting up numbers left and right, probably better than what you saw this year with Jalen Hurts, and that's no disrespect. I am saying the best quarterback in the NFL right now is slightly better than the guy that was the runner-up to him, most likely in the MVP.
We're talking about that. Okay, when you say that, the only part I'm arguing is, look how many times you throw the ball. We've seen Andy throw the ball that many times. Look how many times you throw the ball, though. You're throwing 40, 50 times a game. Of course, you're going to break passing records, You say
But-
you
but
have
it's not
nobody
just the
better than
record.
Tyreek Hill. You still have Juju, who had a decent season this year. Van is Scanlon, and his number one target even last year, Travis Kelce, had a phenomenal year this year.
Sure,
So it's
absolutely.
not like you didn't have nobody. You still had guys that either made play Pro Bowls or even. But Scanlon came from Green Bay. He was like one of his better years when he came over. You know what I'm saying? Then that rookie Pachero, whatever his name is, Poncho, whatever the boy's name is, that dude's actually having a really good season. Like that's a good running back there. That's been taken. And McKinney. McKinney's also doing good with pass blocking and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like he still has weapons. You know, they wouldn't be the top ranked offense if he didn't have no weapons to throw the ball to.
Do you want Jalen Hurts to throw the ball 50 times a game?
No, he don't need to. That's taken away from our run game.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying.
So why does that? If we have to go off of passing yards in terms of if we're going to talk about a quarterback.
Well, because when people look at quarterbacks, they want to see quarterbacks throw. That's ultimately what it comes down to. There's very, very few exceptions.
Quarterbacks have yards like Jalen rushing too.
Yeah, but that's just it. He's rushing. He's not throwing. That's what the NFL, that's what the voters are looking at. Unfortunately, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying in terms of who's going to be the MVP, in terms of you take one, put him on the other team, whatever, they're going to be looking at those passing numbers and be wowed at the passing numbers as opposed to a guy that is playing some of the best football we've ever seen in Philadelphia as a starting quarterback. And that's what Jalen Hurts gave this city and gave the NFL this year. And unfortunately, 2 games is what's going to end up really costing that, because if he sticks around and if he's able to play in those 2 games, if he's healthy for those 2 games, I think his record is good enough. The team's record overall is better, 2 wins better than what it would be for Kansas City. And I think you have far and away the guy that would be the absolute, no question about it, MVP in Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier about how dual threat quarterbacks tend to be looked at, and especially when it's voted upon. I'm trying to go back. I want to look at. I can only think of one dual threat quarterback that was able to win MVP as of recent times, and that was Cam Newton's 2015 season, right? I believe even him as a passer was still putting up massive numbers as opposed to what Jalen put up this year. However, though, at the end of the day, it's just, again, I think Jalen Hurts is a runner-up, but what just going back to what was said earlier about how what the voters look at and what people look at when it pertains to just being as a quarterback, they just want to see more plays in the pocket. And again, it's not a knock on Jalen Hurts' game. Again, we all know that he uses his legs, and his legs is a huge part of his game. And I think that that's always going to be something where a lot of people are going to always have a hard time to consider, because they always think that running the ball is just nothing but a cop-out. So they want to see passing numbers. But even going back to Cam Newton's 2015 season, he still put up, he still threw 35 touchdowns that year. He had several, like 5 passing touchdown games through the air. So I think that it still has to take great passing numbers to give that nod to such a dual threat quarterback, because Cam Newton that year was also putting up great numbers on his legs as well. I think it really becomes a lot more tougher to give that nod to that kind of quarterback, if you ask me. Yeah.
Well, who's the better team? Let me just say, point blank. Who's the better team going into this Super Bowl, you think?
Birds.
Eagles.
The Eagles. I 1,000,000% agree with you. The biggest reason the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, and this, I think this is the biggest thing that goes into it, is because of Patrick Mahomes. Their defense is not that good. I know people want to make an argument that they're number 2 in terms of getting after the quarterback with 55 sacks. Yeah, they're number 2 by a mile, with the Eagles having a 70-sack season. So the number 1 reason they're in the playoffs is, without a question, Patrick Mahomes. The biggest reason, I think the Eagles are in the playoffs. So, it's Jalen Hurts, but it's not a far drop-off after that when you consider how great the defense has played, how great his receivers has been this year, how great Miles Sanders has played this year, how great his offensive line is, how great the defensive line. The Eagles are far and away the more complete team, but the guy that makes up most of the ground for the Chiefs is their quarterback.
Whoa. Now, I like that you said that, Mark. That goes back to my Jalen argument, because Miles Sanders doesn't have 1,300 yards if Jalen Hurts is not on our team. Our offensive line has always been good, but they are considered pretty great right now with all 5 of them going to Pro Bowl, whether you're starting or alternate. Right. Because Jalen Hurts, they've all came out on TV and told you that all their jobs got easier with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. They play with Carson Wentz. They play with Nick Foles. You know what I'm saying? They play with, some of them play with Michael Vick. You know what I'm saying? This guy is bringing a whole nother era of football. And I think people are just scared to understand his ability. And they don't really understand how special that is. We haven't had quarterbacks that do it like he does on both that control. Like you said, Patty Mahomes is the reason why they won. You know what I'm saying? He's the reason why they lost a couple games too as well. You know, if you look at the overall totality of the value of the team, you know, I think Jalen's hands down way more valuable to the Eagles than Patty Mahomes. You give Andy Reid a good passing quarterback, right? I'm not slating. Patty Mahomes is a GOAT for real.
You hate Patrick Mahomes.
I'm not hating. I'm just saying that Jalen Hurts does better. Is more of a valuable player, like to his team, like I said. I think the Chiefs can win a couple of games without Patty being there if you got a good backup quarterback. I don't think the Eagles are winning very many games, you know, with Gardner Minshew playing.
I'll ask you this. I'm not sure what his contract is entirely, but it's Patrick Mahomes. He's getting paid. Let's say he completes
$500 million.
It's $500 million. Are we giving Jalen Hurts $500 million?
We wouldn't if we're smart.
You know, because in my opinion, I believe Mahomes is worth $500 million because of his playmaking ability and what he's able to go ahead and do. Again, do we expect him to still put up the numbers after Tyreek Hill? And again, this is not a knock on Jalen Hurts. I'm just trying to go ahead and make a case as why I think that Patrick Mahomes is the MVP quarterback. Just to go ahead and leave that out there. But I'm just saying, I don't think nobody expected for him to put up these kind of numbers and have this kind of season still after losing Tyreek Hill now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's almost like, anytime I praise Patrick Mahomes, it sounds like I'm ripping Jalen Hurts, and I freaking love Jalen Hurts. So I don't want to continue to go down that path. But
okay, I got another one for you guys before we get off this topic. Patty Mahomes, in what year is he in right now?
Is he the 6th year, 7th year?
6th year, and Jalen Hurts is 2nd year starter, year 3. He's already doing this stuff now. Like we haven't even seen it. We know what prime time Patty Mahomes is. We still don't know what Jalen Hurts is for sure.
Well,
like he hasn't peaked out. The boy's only 24 years old. Like, does that give him an edge?
Oh, well, one thing for certain is I think that we've seen Jalen Hurts in the spotlight since he was a freshman at Bama, and we all literally have grown up with Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. He was literally put right in front of our faces. He was a star quarterback of the best college football team in the nation, and even going from there to Oklahoma, see what he was able to go and do with Lincoln Riley. Then he went with Doug Peterson, and then with Nick Sirianni. I think every single year we have actually seen him progress as a quarterback, you know, because before we was just seeing him as just a pure runner at that point in time, so we wasn't sure what to make of him. So ever since that freshman year at Bama, when we saw him in the national championship game against Deshaun Watson, he legitimately was able to progress, probably hit that hunch during the sophomore year when they replaced him with Tua. But once he went with Lincoln Riley, he progressed him as a passer, helped with Dougie P as well, Nick Sirianni, and then you saw the night and day difference once he was able to add some legitimate targets. I could actually see, like, okay, what could he actually really do and showcase his passing skills? So I believe the sky's the limit for Jalen Hurts at this point, because every single year I have seen him since being a freshman in college, he has increased, he has improved. His stock has continued to rise since that point in time.
Yeah. Let's go to the next guy, Devontae Smith. He's been having, a great end of the year too. He's going to be one of the only players to win a Super Bowl, Heisman, national championship, all of them. Like, how do you guys really see this guy? Because I know a lot of people talk more about AJ. He's a star. He was already the star on the, before. And he's on this team, so they consider him 1 or 1A and Devontae 1B. Like, how do you guys see it? Because I know I have Philly 500 on, and he had a nice little hot day. He goes to him. Devontae's better than AJ.
Woo! I'm gonna tell you one thing. AJ Brown. I was already just telling my people around me, and I'm like, I'm not sure, but hey, look. I haven't seen this kind of impact since T.O. Obviously, Alshon Jeffrey, I'm forever going to love for what he was able to contribute in 2017. We saw how different it was once we implemented Alshon Jeffrey into the offense. But A.J. Brown and his big play ability, what he did, the touchdown catch against the Steelers, and obviously we saw what he did against the Titans, and it really just catapulted this offense. Now, Devontae Smith, I believe he is a great possession kind of receiver. And if anything, I could go ahead and give him sort of the Marvin Harrison type of comparison, which Marvin Harrison himself is great. But with A.J. Brown, you just tend to get more home runs. And that gives you that TOS kind of vibe that you see with AJ Brown. And so that's why for me, I would like to go towards the AJ route. However, the kind of conservative football mind that I have, I love Devontae Smith as a wide receiver because he is my ideal. He's my ideal wide receiver. Great, smart, runs very solid routes, trustworthy hands, and he's your go-to target. That's a great question, though. It's a really great question, but because of AJ Brown's home run capability, I'm gonna still go with AJ Brown.
Yeah, you guys like betting on the whoever your friend is there, BG. You like betting on the younger guys between Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. No, I'm still going AJ Brown as the better receiver between the two. Who has the better career? Obviously, Devontae Smith is a younger guy right now, has a lot of promise, a lot of potential, Heisman Trophy winner. We all know how good and how talented he can be. But AJ Brown is that guy that just keeps on saying my ball or nobody's ball and goes on every single week and proves it in jump ball situations. It was unfortunate. I listened to Devontae Smith's mic'd up on the Eagles website where he let that ball go right through his hands up against the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. He just flat out said, I had it. It went right through my hands. You rarely see that with AJ Brown. And AJ Brown, now this is going to sound like I'm ripping Devontae Smith, which I'm not. But A.J. Brown is definitely more of the physical wide receiver. I think we could agree with that. But I think Devontae Smith is definitely growing into that role. The big thing I wanted to see from Devontae Smith from year 1 to year 2 was let me see those hands, man. And I'm not saying about catching the football. I'm saying catching the football and holding on to the ball. Because now you got men swiping away at that ball as you're trying to catch it. Last year, that was a struggle for him. This year, I have seen him hold on to that ball in those tight window throws more so at a wide rate than he did a year ago. So the trajectory is there. The progression is there. But if you're telling me who's the better wide receiver, if you're asking me that question, it's A.J. Brown right now.
And with that one, it's hard to really go like he's not really that much older. You know, AJ's only played.
Yeah, it's not. No, about 2 or 3
he's not
years.
even. I don't think AJ's hit his prime yet. You know, like if you really think about it, he's hurt a couple of years, and then like now this is his best year ever, and you can see that blossom into even more better career the way it's going right now. So
amazing when you have Ryan Tannehill not throwing you the ball anymore.
Right.
What is you guys' number one matchup you want to see in the Super Bowl?
I would love. I'm a trenches guy. I love line of scrimmage. I want to see us really match up against their defensive line as well as our defensive line against their offensive line. I'm very classic with the whole you win the game in the trenches kind of style, and so I believe that matchup itself we could. I really do believe that we have the best trenches in the game, so I could see us having our way on both sides of the ball. So those will be the matchups I'm actually really looking forward to because I do believe that will be able to control the pacing and overall the outcome of this game.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I like seeing that. I want to see how the Eagles' offensive line stack up against Chris Jones and how much they do take him away to the game, out of the game. And we had talked about that earlier, BG. Other than that, I'm looking at Hassan Reddick on Patrick Mahomes. I want to see how that matchup goes for the Eagles. I want to see how Hassan Reddick can test the high ankle sprain of Patrick Mahomes in this game. And then after that, I really want to see Jalen Hurts versus Steve Spagnuolo. I want to see that. I absolutely love matchups like that where I can look at a younger quarterback or a pretty damn good quarterback. I mean, you can talk about an MVP like Cam Newton, like you mentioned earlier. And what I wanted to see in that Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos was Cam Newton against Wade Phillips. I wanted to see that matchup. I was looking forward to that. In a very similar way, I'm looking forward to seeing Jalen Hurts go up against Steve Spagnuolo because Steve Spagnuolo has been a good defensive coordinator throughout his career. He's going to be concentrating on basically biting the head off the snake. And the snake of this great system, the on switch to this great system here, is without question Jalen Hurts. So if he's going to throw things at him and try to put him in a predicament that Todd Bowles put him in the last playoff run last year, good luck to you. But I still want to see Jalen Hurts beat somebody who is accredited defensive coordinator in the Super Bowl. And that would be, other than a Super Bowl victory unto itself, would be a huge feather in the cap of Jalen Hurts.
I like that. I like that one. Even you don't think that last week was a defensive challenge? You know what I'm saying, that Jalen really had to overcome?
No,
number one defense in the league.
No, it was. They certainly didn't play like the number one. I mean, Jalen Hurts did not have a good game last week. 2 weeks ago. Jalen Hurts did not. That might have been Jalen Hurts' worst game of the season in that game. I mean, he was making overthrows. He was missing guys that were open downfield. I did mention the play with Devontae Smith where he dropped that one pass, but he did not play well. With him not playing well and maybe his worst game of the season, they scored 31 points on the best defense in the NFL, quote unquote. So
Right.
that just goes to show you how much room for error this team does have. When they play a team like that and they have as many chances as they did, they force turnovers, they get the football in short yardage situations. I mean, they're just a tough offense to stop no matter what.
It's for me, for me, when it comes down to January football, December football, cold weather football, what's going to take for us to go ahead and get to the Super Bowl, I always believe in running the football, and defense will always get you there. That's what the Eagles have. Getting the number 1 seed was so vital, was so crucial for this organization, for this team, because their defensive stats at home, it's phenomenal. I mean, you could go back to 2017 where Falcons only put up 10 and Vikings only put up 7. We go to 2019, and this is with Josh McCown when we couldn't offer nothing on offense. Josh McCown on one hamstring, we still were able to hold Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks to only 17 points. You come to this year, 7 points, and then we obviously know the story what happened with the Niners and their quarterback issues. We still held it down. So the defense performing at home was going to put us in this position. And for the offense, what's great about the offense is that, or what's actually what makes the offense now, it's all a mystery. It's all up in the air because we're just not sure what's going to be happening now. You know, it's like, okay, well, we didn't get necessarily the numbers we wanted in the air. We was able to go ahead and still do enough to win that game. And like I said, San Francisco was already banged up enough, so it's not like we really had to do too much to win. And so part of me still felt like, why do I feel like we haven't necessarily seen that offense just yet? You know, so now we're going to be back in the dome. We're going to the West Coast in Arizona. Jalen Hurts has a couple more weeks now to heal that shoulder that's been banged up now. Again, he's even admitting to us, hey, look, I'm not healthy. He's legitimately been telling us that his shoulder's not there, which is obviously affecting his passing game. But now you got another week to heal. And I truly feel that this offense now through the air will be able to showcase itself against a far more weaker defense against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think that's their worst, their biggest downfall right there. As their cornerbacks, 3 rookie cornerbacks starting against A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith.
Exploit that.
Who's going to throw on Goddard? You know what I'm saying? Your secondary is going to be the biggest key of why they should get demolished here. I don't see it being a close game. I don't know.
Oh, I love it. All right.
We're going to get to that score prediction. Before I do, I want to talk about this. How do you guys feel about this since we talked about the Niners game when Brandon Ayuk said this right here? How did you feel about Ayuk saying that? Do you think he's just being a sore loser sitting at home on his couch wishing he was still playing? Or do you think there was actually some truth to that in terms of if they had Purdy, they were going to carve us up?
No, I don't agree with that even a little bit. That is a guy who's butthurt. Brandon Ayuk is butthurt over getting owned by the Eagles defense. And let's just look at it like this. If you're going to talk, at least go out there and have yourself a good game. He had 1 catch for 10 yards against the Eagles, and I know who the quarterback was. Okay, I understand it wasn't Brock Purdy throughout the game. I understand it wasn't Jimmy Garoppolo. I understand Trey Lance, fine. But good God, man, you had 2 catches against the Cowboys in the previous week. So why are you flapping your trap? It was stupid. I laughed at it, and I giggled about it right before I went to sleep that night I read it. It was dumb. And I just look at it and I go, I hope the Eagles get a good chuckle out of this. Darius Slay was laughing about it yesterday at the media night. But, yeah, I didn't give a lot of credit to Brandon Ayuk or credence to his quote.
Yeah, that for sure was coming out of pettiness, and it's crazy that I'm going to say this off top. But first off, shout out to the Dallas Cowboys, because in that divisional game, I always said at this point, as much as they're saying about the Eagles, who have they played? You look at that Niners schedule, and I'm like, well, who have they played, guys? Because, you got to call a spade for spade at this point in time. And so I do think that the Cowboys were going to be a competitive enough team to start exposing some of the vulnerability of that 49ers offense. And I do believe that our matchup itself will go with a matchup against that 49ers offense with Brock Purdy in there, which it did. It did. And unfortunately for Brock Purdy, he went out for the game early on, but that's part of the game. As we talk about a mastermind of an offense Kyle Shanahan is and how much of a great coach he is. But stepping into that game with the game plan of leaving Hassan Reddick open and having just tight ends blocking him, I don't think that that's a mastermind kind of game plan, if you ask me. That was part of the game. That hit happened. Nonetheless, though, what the Cowboys exposed the previous week was once they got a little pressure on Purdy, he threw that ball out quickly, and I was like, ooh, there's actually some vulnerability there. We have the most sacks in the league. This defensive line was going to get into their face and disrupt him all game if we were to see him all throughout. But we got to him early on, and we took him out early on, and that's just how the game went. Brandon Ayuk definitely coming from a petty point of view, and, at this point in time, he's just going to have to be sitting on the couch like all of us right here on this chat, watching the game, hoping and wishing that he would have been in it.
Finish this. Chiefs win if what?
We don't get to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I'll tag this onto it. You don't get to Patrick Mahomes and force turnovers. If you, as an Eagles team, commit turnovers, if you have, and this is what I know is in everybody's mind because it was so ugly, the Commanders game. You turn the football over, you lose the game. You can't give Patrick Mahomes continuous chances to score touchdowns. You turn the football over, you lose this game. You don't pass protect, you lose this game.
You talk about momentum. Last two games for the Chiefs, they barely won. They were struggling with Jacksonville. They were struggling the last game. Eagles, you look at the teams they play, they want to say Giants, Niners, they go against the best defense in the NFL. Momentum matters for this Super Bowl. Do you think that's going to matter? Take a whole stake in this whole thing. Because momentum says the Eagles should just go blow them out. We only team, 14 points in 2 games. Never really been happening before. We're outscoring teams by like 64 points. Like, what's going on there? Do you think that these guys really have a chance against us?
Well, it's the NFL. And one thing for certain, I'm not going to go ahead and discredit Andy Reid. And one thing Andy Reid has done since he's left Philadelphia is beating the Eagles. We haven't been able to beat Andy Reid himself when he's been coaching the Chiefs since then. So I'm actually more so focused on Andy Reid than the rest of the Chiefs at this point in time. I mean, great coach. Dealt with him for a long time, brought a lot of success, even though he's not able to win a big one at that point. But nonetheless, though, still a great, successful coach in the NFL. And what he's been able to go ahead and do since leaving Philadelphia was bring the Chiefs, an organization that we haven't really thought about, back to relevancy. And now they're in the Super Bowl every other year. So that being said, we haven't beaten Andy Reid at this point in time. I do want to get that chip, go figure, off our shoulders and focus on that, see what he's going to be able to do. So it is going to be a chess match going up against that kind of mastermind that's going to be coaching up that sideline across the field.
I don't think I'm not a big believer in momentum when it comes to the Super Bowl. I think the Super Bowl is the game that you don't need bulletin board material. You don't need anything to help you draw focus. You understand that it's the Super Bowl. Like, this is it. This is the end all be all. This is the game that makes or breaks careers. It's why Andy Reid's career in Philadelphia always ended in disappointment. It's why Andy Reid's career in Philadelphia, people look back on and go, well, how successful was he if he couldn't really win the big one and all that kind of thing. So I don't really believe in momentum. I think this game is its own momentum. When it does, and then just time-wise, you have a week off in between where you're doing everything but football. And one of my favorite things I ever heard from Doug Peterson was on the field before the Super Bowl against Bill Belichick. Of course, he walks onto the field, they shake hands. Bill Belichick has been there 100 times. Doug Peterson's just showing up to the party for the first time. And Bill Belichick says, hey, how was your week? And Doug Peterson goes, hey, there's a game in here somewhere, right? Like, with all the pageantry, with all the fireworks and concerts and parties around town and media availabilities and all that stuff, it's like, when do I get to go back to my grease board and draw X's and O's? Like, when do I get to do that? So I think these guys, I think when it comes to the momentum factor, I think there's a lot to halt that momentum, and then there's a lot to make sure that everyone is pulling focus and start their own momentum when it comes to this game. Momentum will be established in the game. I don't think it's established because the Eagles beat the 49ers in the fashion that they did, or they beat the Giants in the fashion that they did, or they were one of the best teams all season long and doing what they did all season long. I think the Super Bowl is its own isolated entity.
I like it. So do you think, that being said, give me 3 hot takes for the game, Farzetta?
Oh, you want hot takes? 50-0. Eagles. Patrick Mahomes retires because he can't ever play at the level of Jalen Hurts is in the Super Bowl. That's a hot take. But in all seriousness, it's not a hot take if you believe it. Anyway, when it comes to this game, I have the Eagles winning this game. As I keep making predictions and get closer to game time, my score rises. Like originally it was like 27-24. Now I'm closer to like 31-27. Now you might have a 38-30 game. I don't know. But the Eagles beat the Chiefs because ultimately what matters is being the better football team and not experience. If we were betting on experience, Nick Foles doesn't beat Tom Brady, especially with the day Tom Brady has against Jim Schwartz's defense in that Super Bowl. So experience can kiss my ass. When it comes to everything else, it comes to being the better team. The Eagles are the better team because their defense is far and away better than anything the Kansas City Chiefs can put out there on the table. So when it comes to this game, I see the Eagles winning this game. Right now, I'll go with 31-24. They take care of business against the Chiefs, and you see Hassan Reddick actually make a threat to be the MVP of the Super Bowl with the game he's going to have against Patrick Mahomes.
That's what I was going to ask you. Who is your Super Bowl MVP?
I think it's Jalen Hurts, but I think you're going to have a lot of people talking about it. Hassan Reddick possibly doing it, yeah.
So if he wins that MVP, like you say he is, how much more legendary does the name Hurts become?
How much more legendary? How much more expensive? That's the thing. I remember Joe Flacco with the Ravens before they beat the 49ers in 2012. Joe Flacco did the bet on yourself thing. And, man, that couldn't have worked out better for Joe Flacco. I remember that. He went out, and then he got chicken nuggets. He signed that huge deal, and then he went through the McDonald's drive-thru. I don't know what Jalen Hurts is going to do, maybe make his own cheesesteak again, but you make no mistake about it. That, $450 million deal we saw Mahomes sign a couple of years ago? Oh, man.
Jalen
Hurts
deal was like a 10-year deal.
Yeah.
It was a long deal where they were even talking about that this week, how, it doesn't really affect them that much. They're still able to get players in with the way that contract is so long and so, structured. So you want Jalen to do one of those, like a $500 million deal for Jalen?
Oh, yeah. Because you can keep on restructuring and giving back to the team, and then you give him a big fat check, and it goes back to the team, big fat check, back to the team. And that's just how it works. And he's smart enough to know he's always going to get his money, and he's smart enough to know that if he wants guys like A.J. Brown around, if he wants that offensive line, if he wants to have a team around him, because the man wants to win above all else, he's going to be restructured. Patrick Mahomes has already restructured the deal, if I'm not mistaken. So I think you're going to have a similar thing with Jalen Hurts.
Nice, Farzetta. Nice. And you guys from Philly, y'all eat Philly cheesesteaks. You heard Juju say Philly don't have the best cheesesteaks. What do you say about that? Is there cheesesteaks in Pittsburgh too? Like, do they have good cheesesteaks over there? Like,
there are cheesesteaks everywhere.
I imagine everybody's eating cheesesteaks, right?
There are cheesesteaks everywhere.
I mean, there's a reason why it's iconic. It's just like whenever you go to New York and everybody's like, "Did you have a pizza in New York?" It's the same thing when you go to Philly. Did you get a cheesesteak? It's iconic for a reason. Everybody always wants to try to go ahead and go against I shall say the system. I don't want to be too cliche when I say that, but again, we get that nod. Obviously, we built that reputation for a particular reason, and I lived in California all my life, and every time I fly back and come back, whether I was still in school or hanging out with my friends, they always ask, "Oh, would you try a cheesesteak, or how's the cheesesteak out in Philly?" So, it's coming from a place of just trying to dig at the city and at the end of the day towards the Eagles.
I'm going to gross you guys out. I don't know if I've ever told you this story before, BG, but
go.
I think it was my first season traveling with Sunday Night Football, and I was at the old Cowboys Stadium. And for the record, it smelled like an old barn, and like no one was taking care of the animals that well. It did not have a good smell to it. But I remember walking around the main concourse, looking around, and I saw something that broke my brain, and I just stared at it for a second to make sure. Like, I read it 4 or 5 times just to make sure I wasn't making it up. Cowboy cheesesteaks. Cowboy cheesesteaks. And I was like, what the hell? And I looked at the menu. I looked at the picture. It was a Philadelphia style cheesesteak that they were making in Dallas for Cowboys fans. And I thought, just when I thought you guys couldn't be any bigger frauds, here we are. You're trying to eat our food. But no, I've had cheesesteaks elsewhere. I treat cheesesteaks like my family treats meatballs. Like I'll have one somewhere else just to remind myself how good mine are. So like I'll have a bite of a cheesesteak somewhere else just to remind myself how much I love, a sharp provolone with onions in the Philadelphia area. So I'll do that. But anyone who wants to say they're not in Philadelphia doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. And for the record, Darius, I do go to New York and I do stop at almost every pizza joint I can stop at because God, I don't know what it is, man. That is something in that. Oh, it's so damn good.
Yeah. It definitely is something. But it's I'm in New York now. I go back to California. I have to have Mexican food. So it's all about region where you're at, and that's what plays into that factor. But again, that was a very just a funny poke and jab kind of comment that he made there.
And like me living in Cali, most of my life too, it was like we made our cheesesteaks different. At least I did. Everywhere I bought them from, they were not made the same. When I went to Philly for the first time, I got one of the Philly cheesesteaks. That was a whole nother cheesesteak tonight. Like we actually used steak. In Cali, it'd be like chopped up steak, like sliced up steak and stuff like that at most of the places I got it at. And even to eat it with the cheese whiz and all that stuff at Paps and stuff like that, that was a whole nother experience. At first, I'm like, well, I'm not even sure about this, but when I went to that Monday night game against Washington, I went to a different one. I think it was Leo's cheesesteaks out there in Philly. And man, that was the best cheesesteak I ever had in my life.
Lenny's?
Amazing.
Lenny's, maybe?
Maybe it's not a Leo's. It's not Leo's.
There might be. I don't know a Leo's,
but it's about like 10 minutes away from the stadium. I know that much. Now I Googled it and went there, and they had some really good cheesesteak. Like someone had told me, I think it was Desert Eagle. Shout out to Desert Eagle. He had hit me up on that one. He was like, "Yeah, you in Philly? Go to Leo's cheesesteaks, man." And that I went there. I Googled it. I went there, and that was a really good cheesesteak. They even put ketchup on there. It was weird. It was like they put a lot of stuff on there. It was great though. But I don't know. Like for me, took me a minute to actually convert to saying, okay, yeah, I do like them more in Philly than I did. I like the meat there. I guess it's a different meat that you're using. It's not thick like steak. It's actually nice thin slice and stuff like that. But a cheesesteak is good anywhere. I love cheese and meat together, regardless of where you.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining.
So hold on, I came back. So were y'all sorry because I froze for a quick second. What was your Super Bowl prediction? Did I miss that part?
My official Super Bowl prediction for right now is 31-24 Eagles win.
Okay, 31-24 Eagles win. All right, yeah, I believe it. I believe we're going to get into the 30s as well. I see somewhere between 34-30 Birds, but I could also honestly see that point in time where we could actually keep it close in that fourth quarter. There's a final drive that sort of puts the game out of reach where it's a 27-24 kind of game, and then we actually use that drive towards the very end to put the stamp on it and actually win, even though it looked like a 10-point win, 34-24. It was close the whole entire time until that point where you're actually seeing what really takes to win the football game is where we will actually kill that clock, run the football, pound it against their defense, and then take it from there. I always like to look back and see how the recent years been and how the recent Super Bowls have been. Last year you look back, you see it's always the good, great quarterback going against the very talented team. And I'm noticing that it's always a very talented team that ends up pulling away. Last year you see Joe Burrow versus Stafford. You're going to pick Burrow, but Stafford and the Rams were just too stacked and too talented. The previous year before, Patrick Mahomes against a Tom Brady. Now that's Tom Brady, but Patrick Mahomes coming off of the MVP, he was the best quarterback. We've been saying he's the best quarterback. Where Brady, older, not necessarily back in 2010 kind of Brady that what we've seen before. And even going back to 2017, we're going up against a 500-yard Tom Brady, but it still takes a better team to go ahead and win the game. So that's one thing I always want to just try to push out there. We go back to all these offenses that we fall in love with these quarterbacks. Cam Newton 2015, like what you just mentioned earlier, Mark, with the Cam Newton that offense. Oh man, they're probably going to beat the Broncos. The Broncos, they don't know who they want at quarterback, Osweiler or Manning. No, they had the great defense and the great team. 2013, the record-breaking Peyton Manning season versus the Seattle Seahawks. It always tends to just come back around and remind us what truly wins the game. 2007 Patriots, Tom Brady, Randy Moss, Giants had the stacked team. So when I see that once again happening this Sunday for the Birds, where our team is really going to go ahead and show up, and you're going to really see how good we have always been throughout this whole year.
I agree. If you believe in myths or not, they were telling like MVPs usually don't win the Super Bowl. It's happened. I think Patty did do it. But on normal basis, the MVP doesn't win the Super Bowl. The person that leads the league in passing doesn't usually win the Super Bowl. I think it's about that balance, like you said. The season awards are, that's what they are. When it comes to winning championships, it's about your team. Defense wins Super Bowls, and we're the best defense out of the two teams we got going on here. And I really feel like Patty Mahomes will be lucky if he finishes this game. You guys are throwing out some really nice scores, being really generous to these guys. But I've been telling you, like I told you it was going to happen in the Giants game, like I told you what's going to happen in the San Francisco game. We're about to blow these guys out of the water. We're probably going to see the best Eagles game we've seen all year. These guys are ready. They're focused. They're laser focused right now. And I just really feel like Jalen wants to stamp his name in the record book. Jalen wants to stamp his name in the league. To stop calling me a running quarterback. Stop calling me this. Stop calling me that. Just respect me as being one of the best in the league. And that's defense definitely. The way Hargrave and these boys are out there, Reddick and these boys are getting after the quarterback. They got after the quarterback the first two games. I think Patty not being 100% might be a problem for him. You know what I'm saying? Like he even admitted last game. I know he got 2 more weeks to heal it, but high ankle sprains don't heal that quickly. You know what I'm saying? Like he still has the extra 2 weeks for healing, and they're NFL, so I'm pretty sure they got a lot of cool doctors doing cool things to the ankle for him. But still, him not being 100%, he's gonna have to run for his life this game. It kind of reminds me of the last one he went against when his 2 offensive linemen were out and he was running for his life that whole game. He lost, but this time he has his offensive line with the best, pass rate protecting offensive line that he got out there. They never played the Eagles. All the narratives always been like, are the Eagles ready to play these guys, the Kansas City Chiefs, champions? They want to call these guys dynasty. They've only won 1 championship. 1. That's it. These guys haven't won another championship with Patty Mahomes. They've been to 5. I heard Michael Irvin and them boys talking about it on like First Take, and it's like, come on, you can't even really call these guys a dynasty team, because they've only won 1. Andy Reid took them to 5 straight with 1 and didn't win any. Eagles won 1 5 years ago. I think that this is the beginning of a dynasty for our Eagles because all of our players are young bucks, and we drafted them. They're homegrown, young bucks about to go out there and show the world what they need to look forward to.
Now, what does that mean? Because if you're telling me that we win Sunday, that's 2 in 5 years, but a whole different team, same front office, but different team. What will add that? What can you actually call that? Because for me, I would say that, oh wow, they got for me, I was gonna call. I was about to call the Giants when they won, but they said Coughlin and Manning. I'm like, okay, well that's a dynasty duo. They was able to win in 2007 and 4 years later in 2011. I mean, what would happen? We win Sunday. That's 2 in 5 years, but a whole different team. Same front office. What do you call that?
So does that make it a dynasty? Say we win Sunday, we win next year. So that's a dynasty, right? That's 3. That's 3, right? Is that dynasty?
Well, I think technically your dynasty is always supposed to be, I think 3 and 4 years. That's supposed to be a dynasty. So I think we're a little ways away from that, or 3 in a row. I'll take 3 in a row. So yeah, let's make that happen. But I don't think you go dynasty quite yet. But to answer your question, Darius, what does it make us? It makes every other team terrified of Howie Roseman, because if that guy can can take the pieces that were left over after Chip Kelly and 2 years later turn that into a Super Bowl championship with that deep roster, oh my God, other executives should just hang up the phone when the man calls you. Then you look at the other aspect of it, the fact that the Eagles are back in the Super Bowl with a different quarterback, with a different head coach, but Howie's still at the helm. Oh man! Wow. Yeah. I don't know if the phone rings and there's a 215 area code, and I'm anywhere else in America, I'm not answering that phone call because Howie's about to hose me when it comes to deals, when it comes to trades. Oh, and how about this? Not only the Eagles in the Super Bowl, the Eagles have the 10th overall pick in the draft. Oh, forget about that. God, just inject it into my veins. It feels so good.
Wow. Where Howie was able to go ahead and do these last several years was something, again, it's something where only he was able to go ahead. And, yeah, it's surprising that GM still answer the phone. But I do believe that, yeah, he is the one that's willing to go ahead. And he knows that, okay, I'm going to call you. We know you don't want A.J. Brown. we'll give you this. You know you don't want him. So nobody else is calling you to give you a first round pick from. So why don't you give him to us? So I think that's what he's able to do. Leverage. He calls these teams knowing, damn, I don't want to go ahead and have this player on my team. It's my boy. Call me, asking me, hey, you still talking to that girl? I know you was not into her, and I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they get what they want out of it. It's not like how he totally, the other team gets something from it. It just it looks a lot better for us. Like the AJ Brown here looked a lot better for us. Look at it. We're about to have a top 10, win a Super Bowl, draft 10. Like, when did that ever happen? When did we last time we even, drafted with a winning record that low in the draft, and then still having 32? If you want, you can package both of them up and go up and get it. Another player, but I think Hobby's gonna probably use both of those draft picks like normally do, though.
Yeah, he loves his draft picks now, and even then, his draft picks alone itself has been. We were concerned the last several years about his draft capability, but the Landon Dickersons, the Devontae Smiths, the Milton Williams, the big boy Jordan Davis from this year. N'Kobe Dean's been a special teams effect player, which we're waiting to see what he could do at linebacker now, but he's been making plays on special teams. So his drafting wise has also increased since then as well. So he's really turning himself into just an overall outstanding GM, whether it's through trades, free agencies, and now in the drafts, and it's really making him complete at this point in time. I think he runs this team.
Who do you guys think is the guy we're not talking about that could be the star of the show this Sunday? You know what I'm saying? Like, we talked about the main stars on the Eagles, the main stars on the Chiefs. Like, give me those, like, sleeper guys that you think that, wow, like, I didn't think about it, but this guy could be the star of the game.
Chauncey? I think CD Deuce. Could step up and make a couple of plays. I mean, Darius mentioned the turnover factor earlier. He's definitely a guy that can force turnovers, definitely a guy that can get in the backfield. He has become a Swiss Army knife to this defense. I think he could be a guy that might jump out there and be a star of the game. MVP, I don't think so, but star of the game, it can certainly happen.
People don't realize when CD Deuce and Max are both playing, our defense was shut down. For most of that year, you were missing one or the other. But when both of them are in that game, our defense was shut down. So, it is what it is. I like that pick with CD Deuce. What about you, Darius?
Yeah, he's been coming around this postseason. I'm like, wow, okay. Are we okay with now letting Miles Sanders go? Because Kenneth Gainwell has absolutely stepped up this postseason. I loved what he's been doing so far. Made several great plays against the Niners. Had a phenomenal game against the Giants. So I believe that Gainwell will continue that momentum. He's ready for the postseason, and he's helped kept this offense going, kept that momentum going, and we've been relying on him. I think that he'll make several great runs. I'll say a couple 20+ yard runs coming from Gainwell himself, and maybe a touchdown or two. But I would say Kenneth Gainwell will be the person that's going to come about. I like what he's done this postseason.
Hey, and I know you gotta get out of here, Mark. Thanks for staying as long as you did, buddy. I know you've been out there doing your thing, man. But shout out to you guys. Hit that like, go subscribe to my boy Mark FARZETTA. He's always dropping that Fire Eagles content, man, and other Philadelphia content. For that
cover the whole gambit. Cover the whole gambit.
Yes, sir. But thanks again for stopping by, my guy.
Great hanging out. Thanks, guys. Darius, nice talking to you, man. See you guys.
Good talking to you, sir.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna have to go with my sleeper. I think it's gonna be Quez. I think it's gonna be Quez Watkins. We haven't seen what we wanted to see from Quez Watkins this whole year. He's had a couple splash plays here and there. But you think about this defense, your main three passing, you got three rookie cornerbacks out there. Your main targets is A.J. Brown, is Devontae Smith, is Dallas Goedert. But no one's talking about Quez at all because we're not expecting Quez to do anything because we wanted him to do so much this year, and he hasn't really shown us any of that. So I'm going to go, my sleeper player is going to be, Quez Watkins. I think he can have a big Super Bowl. If you're guarding those guys, you're gonna have to double team somebody, which is gonna be bad for you in general. And then you got a guy like Quez Watkins going deep for touchdowns all over here.
Yeah, I know Quez has nothing. He started off hot. We saw that big touchdown against the Minnesota Vikings, and we're thinking, oh man, is this going to be the Quez year? Then it just sort of fizzled out throughout the year, and then made some costly plays towards the end. But I would be for it if Quez Watkins could go ahead and step up and say, hey, no, guys, I had a role in this particular offense for a reason. I could see them, focusing on the Devontae, focusing on the A.J. Brown, and he comes over the top for a big player too. So, if this is the Quez Watkins game, then I'm here for it. If it takes up to the Super Bowl for Quez Watkins to perform, then damn it, sign me up.
Right? And on defense, I'll go with I'm gonna say a guy that everybody's been hating on, and I think he's actually had a great postseason so far. He kind of fizzled out towards the end of the regular season, but he's kind of stepped back up this postseason. I'm gonna say Kaiser White. You know what I'm saying? Kaiser White. I've heard at the end of the season, I was starting to hear a lot of hate for that guy. You know what I'm saying? People were like, Kaiser's not that good. You know what I'm saying? He's not playing that great. And I think this playoff, he's really shown that he's been where the ball needs to be. He's been doing his thing at a high level. He's played some good football there. So that'd be like my defensive guy would be Kaiser White.
Yeah, defensively, I like the Kaiser White option also because he also came from the Chargers, right?
Yes, he came from the Chargers.
So, so it could also be that familiarity that he knows with the AFC West, with the Chiefs, that could go ahead and make him play, at that level. And also, we didn't do him no justice because when we play the Cowboys at the end of the year, we're all hyped about that game. So everybody's kind of put on the spotlight at that moment in time. And that wasn't our best defensive game that we had against Dallas. So I always feel like, everybody's a little bit too overly critical on the team because we lost to the damn Dallas Cowboys. I get it, though. I get it. Defensively, I would go ahead and probably go with he made it happen before. I think he'll have an encore performance. Brandon Graham. He done did it before for us. I
was thinking about that too.
Strip sack. And I see him getting in Patrick Mahomes' face several times as well. I think that the hype on Hassan Riddick is a lot that's going to allow Hassan Riddick to perhaps get double teamed. And now I think that Brandon Graham is going to go ahead and say, hey, y'all, I'm still here. I still got it. Y'all know what I did 5 years ago. Well, I'm back to go ahead and do it again.
I like it, man. What does this mean to you, man? These guys not only being two of the youngest, quarterback, but being the first ever, black quarterback starting the Super Bowl.
Honestly, it definitely does open a dream to anybody that's watching out there and any young black children that's out there watching sports. I mean, I know for certain when I was growing up in school, it was McNabb, Dante Culpepper, and Michael Vick. Everybody, so all the kids I went to school with, and I had a majority black class, or when we'll be playing out there on the blacktop playing football, it'll be mainly just black kids out there. Everybody will be trying to play quarterback. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Everybody was trying to play quarterback because of Michael Vick and McNabb. So the fact that now we're actually seeing it progress throughout the years of how talented we could actually be behind center. And a quarterback does not always have to be heavy-footed, 6'6", 240, strong arm. A quarterback can come in many shapes and sizes as long as they know how to deliver the damn ball. We're seeing one of the best arm talent with Patrick Mahomes, with all the crazy no-look throws and behind the passes he be making, and we're seeing what a very cerebral mindset like in Jalen Hurts with his athleticism behind center, what that can go ahead and do. You're combining someone that's incredibly smart, incredibly athletic, and also being able to just understand the craft of the game. So so it really gives us the expansion of we come in all shapes and sizes. We don't always have to be Michael Vick and run around and stuff like that. No, we could throw the ball, and also we can go ahead and lead an offense, lead a well-balanced offense as well. So I think it's very inspirational, if you ask me.
And I love that. And that's really what I was really getting to, in terms of when we're talking about the whole MVP thing. It's I don't know, I just think that time where just throwing the football, because you threw the football 40, 50 times a game shouldn't win you nothing anymore. You know what I'm saying? What else can you do? You know what I'm saying? We've seen the Vicks, we've seen the Lamars, have MVP type seasons, do their thing that way. And then we also see the Peyton Mannings, those breezes that could throw for 5,000 yards, that can do it that way. But it's about balance for me. And I just feel people say, if KC were to trade Patty Mahomes to our team, what kind of year would he have with our weapons that we have? And it's like, yeah, he might have 5,000 yards passing. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
Jalen almost had 4. If you take away those 2 games, you add him back in those 2 games he's hurt, he could have had 4,000, but he got like 1,000 yards rushing, and that's a whole nother position. Like, he's one of the top running backs in the league, as well as being the second best quarterback in the league right now. It's like, to me, that is more because you're tops in 2 separate positions as opposed to just being tops at the one. You know what I'm saying? If he was like, the 5th ranked quarterback, his passing was kind of like last year's suspect. You know what I'm saying? Then I understand that. I see you shouldn't even count it. But the fact that he's the second best quarterback in the league right now, and he can run the football, but like a top 10 running back in the game right now, like, how do you not see that as being like, more valuable than the other?
Yeah, it definitely, again, it definitely should open the eyes to people that vote, to the expansion audience that watches, that only think that, again, quarterback is all about having a strong arm, which is why, again, they continue to guzzle every time Patrick Mahomes breathes at this point in time. But again, although I would still stick to my own opinion about what he was able to go ahead and still do, just because again, it's still a great season Mahomes had. I still want to go ahead and give that acknowledgement to dual threat quarterbacks that can go ahead and do it on both ends of the spectrum, passing and running wise. You go back to the Titans game. That was a hell of a passing display that he put on that clinic with AJ Brown. So for me, it's just like so what if one week he throws for 300 yards, and then the next week he runs for 150 yards? Those are 2 very good games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He throws for 350 against Washington earlier this year, or over 330 against the Vikings, 4 touchdowns against the Steelers. I mean, he was very successful in the air on multiple occasions, but he was also very successful on the ground on multiple occasions, which, again, a dual threat is a dual threat. A dual threat's more deadlier, if you ask me, because the minute Patrick Mahomes is throwing interceptions, what else y'all got?
Right?
Jalen Hurts, I felt like, as much as we were saying maybe the Niners was probably not his worst game, I think his worst game as a passer, and I was at this game, was against Chicago. His worst game as a passer was against the Bears, although he threw over 300 yards, but he still threw like 2 interceptions, and it was just off that game. But he rushed for 3 touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He still rushed for 3 touchdowns. So is that a bad game, or you could really just only look at the passing numbers and be like, well, maybe he only threw a couple interceptions, but it gets nullified when you looked at, well, he still ran 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns in the game is still 3 touchdowns in the game.
Next.
So that's what I want people to start looking at, where, hey, even though he threw 2 interceptions, he still ran for 3, and that's still fucking good. Excuse my language, excuse me, because I'm over here because I really want that to be such an eye opener for a lot of people who are not able to process how good that still is.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's great. And then you think about that too, and then you're like, okay, well, let's see. Both of these guys are on teams that are number 1 in their divisions, you know what I'm saying? For
right.
one. I'm trying to look for this. I had this thing up here. And then if you look at this part, they both scored the same amount of points. They made up with the same amount of records, you know what I'm saying? So no matter where the yards flip-flopped or whatever, both of these teams are coming in at the same, you know what I'm saying, with the same, like, winning and the same, points for the whole season. So, like, I don't know. I think the edge goes to even my boy Jalen. Like, this dude's like a poet. The stuff that comes out of this man's mouth, David, they ask him, what was your best play for the season? He's like, the season's not over yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, this dude's so clean with everything that comes out of his mouth. You know what I'm saying? The leadership qualities that this boys have, that I just feel like you don't really hear very many quarterbacks doing it, like just saying it like he is. He's the main thing. You got a Philly thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just like, he's so cool, like Joe Cool. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm a Jalen Hurts fan. So I guess I might be a big fan.
I'm telling you, I think that what I start realizing what what matters most now when it pertains to having a leader in the locker room and the guy that's going to be behind center is what's on their mind, what happens in their thought processes and how they handle adversity and handle situations. Jalen Hurts has been handling adversity and situations since being at Bama, since his college days, and going to the NFL, getting drafted to a team that was supposedly Carson Wentz's team, and he had to take over that and had to go ahead and now be the leader of this organization in a city like Philadelphia and put that over his shoulders as well. So I think that right there itself, again, I was so scared after that damn playoff game against the Bucs. I'm like, I don't know. I like where his mindset is at, but I don't know if he's got the skill. Nope, he shut me up. He continued to go ahead and improve on that skill set that I was concerned about this year. So he took care of that. And what I know for sure is that he is never going to be satisfied, because he wins the Super Bowl. He's going to look back at the season and see, man, well, shit, there might be that game that I still threw these interceptions that didn't need to happen. So maybe next year I could not have these mistakes. You know what I mean? Right. That's the kind of mindset Jalen Hurts has. He don't get timid by any type of adversity that comes towards his way. He don't let the shoulder dictate the outcome of his season now. He's like, you know what? If you guys need to come back in to lock up this number 1 seed, I'll go ahead and do it. If you guys need me to go ahead and come in here and still play through this injury, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And he's doing it. He's determined. And at that point in time, someone that has that dog-like mindset that is just determined going forward and not going to let anything stop him, I tip my hat to that 100%. Yeah.
Mini GOAT, that's what I call him, the mini GOAT. He's on his way to being the GOAT of football right now, man. Like, well, what do you think is what is the biggest thing about this game? Like, the meaning of his whole career. Like, is it gonna keep him at number 2? Because they still talk about Burrows. They still talk about what the boy named in Buffalo, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
They still talking about these Bulls like they're still like the best quarterbacks in the league. That's winning this game put Jalen Hurts number 2 in your mind. Because I think he's number 1, obviously. But you like Patty a little bit more right now. Does it put him number 2?
I say he'll be a number 2, top 3 for sure, easily top 5. But I'll definitely put him in the top 3 category because, at the end of the day, we're going to talk about Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, but everybody's going to say, well, Jalen Hurts had A.J. Brown. Well, Josh Allen has Gabriel Davis and Stephon Diggs. Right. Joe Burrow has T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So at the end of the day, what's wrong with Jalen Hurts having A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? So please, I don't want to hear about that. Patrick Mahomes has Travis Kelce, a Hall of Fame tight end. Juju Smith-Schuster, again, who is still a very good, talented NFL wide receiver at the end of the day. Although, again, he's not Tyreek Hill, but even Patrick Mahomes became Patrick Mahomes because of Tyreek Hill. So they all had somebody to start off with at some point. So please, just we're going to put that aside and see what they was able to actually do with them now. Because, again, Burrow having Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, that didn't get him the Super Bowl last year, and that he came up short this year. Josh Allen still hasn't sniffed the Super Bowl, even though he has Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. Yeah. So, so Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts' first year with these guys, what did he do with it? We're in the Super Bowl with the first year with these guys.
And with those guys, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, first-time starting, first-time coach, playoffs last year, Super Bowl year 2. You know what I'm saying? All they know is playoffs. And right now we're in the Super Bowl. Do you think I know you weren't here earlier when me and Mark were talking about it, but what was your biggest snub? Was it the Nick Sirianni not getting Coach of the Year? Even like nothing for Coach of the Year. They didn't even have him like in the finalists. Or BG not getting Comeback Player of the Year? Or is it Reddick not getting Defensive Player of the Year? Finalists. Like, what was your biggest snub?
Man, I'm gonna tell you one thing for certain. I would say when it pertains to Coach of the Year, again, I always like to go ahead and see what they're able to go ahead and do with less. I felt like Sirianni should have gotten Coach of the Year last year because we're coming off of 2020. We were 4-11-1. People, we were all not sure what Jalen Hurts was going to be or what kind of season Jalen Hurts going to have. We're like, I felt, and we had a rookie Devontae Smith as our number 1 wide receiver, a rookie Devontae Smith. So I would to expect that Nick Sirianni to get Coach of the Year last year because we still ended up making the playoffs last year. When it comes to this year, I mean, we stacked this team, and at the end of the day, it's just like it's a very talented team that, sure, again, without Sirianni, we probably would not be in the Super Bowl, but I feel like with a lot of coaches, we'll still be able to get to the postseason and have a very good season. Again, because it's a very, very talented team. And, he did kind of concern me just a tad bit with his coaching abilities during the Minshew takeover, because I felt like he didn't utilize the rest of the team. I felt like he put too much on Minshew, because I was like, that's not what we want to do. Minshew is not hurt. Let's kind of spread the love now. Give Miles Sanders, balance. Yeah. I felt like he was putting the game on Minshew a little bit too much, and that told me how much he was relying on Jalen Hurts. So that being said, I will give the nod to Brian Dable, because Daniel Jones, again, I think the Giants stink. The fact it's only Saquon Barkley on that team for me, so I was surprised that they made it as far as they did. I really don't like the Giants. I really don't like how that team is set up to be whatsoever. So the fact that they were even a playoff team was surprising to me, and even won a damn game. Hassan Reddick, Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, who are the other options?
Nick Bosa, who's probably going to win.
Yeah,
Michael Parsons.
Yeah, I know they were guzzling over Micah Parsons. Obviously, they love the Bosa brothers. But
right now, like I showed them earlier, right now, number one in sacks in there is Reddick. Number one, sack percentage 11.2. First, quarterback pressures 208. Fourth.
That's the team total. That ain't Hassan Reddick himself. I was about to say 70 sacks in 1 year. Then no, that's the team total.
Yeah, that's the team total, but he led it the way. No, that was the wrong one I was trying to get you. I had one, but that was my bad. I have one with Hassan Reddick numbers. Where's one? That was. Oh yeah. So he had 19.5. Number one.
Right.
They totaled 18.5, but he still led the league. You know what I'm saying? He also has strip sacks, fumble recoveries, quarterback pressures. Like, he still led the league and like everything. He's not even a defensive MVP candidate right now.
That's crazy, because I believe he also had he had 5 forced fumbles as well throughout the year.
Yeah.
So, yeah. At the end of the day, I believe he should have gotten definitely some type of consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. For me, it's always like, what do they go off of? They always go off of the best pass rusher or the best DB who had the most interceptions this year. But then you go back to who has the most interceptions this year. You have Chauncey in there in that mix as well. But because Chauncey was hurt, they're not going to give it to him. I felt like Chauncey would have won the Defensive Player of the Year if he never got hurt.
Yeah.
He never got hurt. If Chauncey never got hurt, that should have been Defensive Player of the Year. But I would give it to Hassan if that's the case. As far as Comeback Player of the Year, I thought Geno had it. I would give it to Geno, because for crying out loud, what Seattle Seahawks were in the playoffs with Geno Smith, and he had that kind of year.
My deal is like, these guys not even like finalists. Like, it's cool not to give it to them, but at least give them the respect to put them in the finalist category.
I thought Brandon Graham's career was done. It was like an Achilles tear at that age. I was ready to be like, no, I don't think we should really take that risk. No, he came back. He came back very strong. I as much as I would say, give some acknowledgement to them, I would give the actual award to Geno Smith for Comeback Player of the Year.
Another thing I talked to Mark about, how do you feel about the Kelsey brothers? You know what I'm saying? The Kelsey Bowl right here. The little brother versus big brother. How do you feel about them?
It's cool that we get to see that again. I know that we had the Harbaugh Bowl back in 2012 with the Ravens and 49ers with Jim and John Harbaugh going at it. So it's cool to go ahead and see another Brother Bowl again. But I think that, they for me, it definitely looks like a showdown between the two. If I'll be one happy parent if I have my kids just out there playing the Super Bowl,
right?
So that'll be a sight to see. Blessings for them.
Mama Kelsey right there with the double jersey.
She already knows what she's doing at that point in time. She's like, look, I ain't losing this. I ain't losing this game. I know I'm going to win regardless. And obviously one brother's going to need a little bit more loving than the other after one of them has to go ahead and take an L, because one of them is going to leave a Super Bowl champion. But the cool thing about it is that they both are already Super Bowl champions, But
I know you're about to be a father, right? You're about to be a father there, big body over there. What would you think would be? Would you go to the loser first, or would you go to the winner first right after the game? Are you going to the loser play to consult them because there's probably going to be a celebration going on behind, for a minute that you can always get back over there? Or are you going to the winner like congratulations, you know what I'm saying? And then you talk to the other one later on.
I think I would for sure celebrate the moment with. I always like to go ahead and give people time, especially in the time of defeat. I want them to go ahead and soak in that moment real quick, just so they can go ahead and get out of it, to the best of their capability. I would join the celebration first, you know what I mean? Because because the celebration eventually ends at some point. They're gonna have to go into the locker room and change. And I feel like at that point I can go ahead and go on over to the loser side and be like, how you feeling? Meet them afterwards after they shower off the game, shower off the defeat, and then just talk to them afterwards. I don't think I would want to be in their face immediately right after they lose again.
Right.
I would love for them to go ahead and just take their time, whatever they need at that point. And just
I like that one. I think that was the first one like that. Yeah, I like that. Go ahead and celebrate with the guy while you're still in your happy mode. Because when you go that way, it's going to be a little bit more dim. When you go, like, how am I going to come and talk to this guy? You played a good game, son. You played a good game.
You did your best. You did your best.
It just wasn't. It wasn't your time. It wasn't your time this time around. Do you think this will affect the whole outlook of the Chiefs? Because a lot of teams are out there trying to call these guys dynasty team already. Like we talked about earlier. Like, do you think losing another one out of 6 tries, does that kind of taint them to saying can you guys really win that big game or not?
As much as I would say, yeah, my thing is just the Niners are essentially would always be in the same position. Niners, in the second straight year in a row, they made it to the NFC Championship game. They came up short, and then the year or a couple years prior to it, they made it to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs. So I do believe that everybody, like people don't necessarily let go of a team that essentially is not going to necessarily go anywhere, because after this year, Patrick Mahomes is not going to retire. Or I don't think Travis Kelce is going to retire either. So I think people are already going to be like, well, the Chiefs are going to be in the playoffs regardless. Yes. But it's always going to be like, but maybe they get the Super Bowl hangover, and this could be Josh Allen's year, or maybe this will be Joe Burrow's year to come back in. I don't think it is sustainable to. It's hard for me to believe that they're going to do what the Buffalo Bills did and continue to make the Super Bowl just to lose. If they come back to lose a Super Bowl again, though, I think it definitely does add more to the Andy Reid disappointments that he has had.
A good one right there. That was a good one right there, dog. I didn't hear that one.
Yeah,
say it loud, man. The Andy Reid disappointment. We know about that disappointment here in Philly.
We've been in that position for a long time, being down to the Final Four in the NFL and only made the Super Bowl once, and even in that one try, we done lost. So it's just like, it didn't matter how many times we were there, we still couldn't get it done. So I think that, unfortunately with Andy Reid, he will get to that big moment in time or get down to the last 2 or the Final 4 teams in the NFL, and he comes up short. That happens a lot for him, and it just continues to be another story in his coaching career. Unfortunately, he got the complete end of the spectrum of the Bill Belichick success. I think that Bill Belichick got the winning part of that point of always making it to the big moment, the big games and winning. Andy Reid got the losing part of it when it comes to making it to the big moment, the big games, and losing.
Who do you think is a better coach out of those two? Are you just going off championships, or do you? Just game planning, coaching itself?
I'm going Andy Reid.
Andy Reid.
I think that one thing for certain is that we've seen Tom Brady win a Super Bowl without Bill.
Yes.
We've seen Andy Reid now make a Super Bowl with 2 separate teams. We've seen Andy Reid made a playoff run with multiple quarterbacks from McNabb to Jeff Garcia, to Michael Vick, to Alex Smith, to Patrick Mahomes, where Bill Belichick, he had that one good year with Matt Castle. I know that they didn't make the playoffs, but they still had a very good record. And then I know they made the playoffs with Mac Jones his rookie year, but ever since Brady left, Patriots haven't been a threat that they used to be. So I would give, if I were to go ahead and start my career behind center, I would like to go ahead and go behind Andy Reid.
Nice. And the streak's been going on. Like we said, we don't know the full potential with Nick Sirianni, but we do know this year what we've seen in that first year where they were playing certain teams and it seemed like the show was too big for him. You know what I'm saying? It was he was in the bright lights. We haven't really seen that this year. Do you think it being a Super Bowl? Because I watched this interview, I think it was last night when they had the opening night, and I will say this: there was parts of him that where he was starting to stutter again, like it was like that first interview. Well, you know, when he first came to the Eagles, where he started stuttering, not being that confident speaker like he is now. Do you think this could be one of them situations where yes, we have the team, we should win the game, but the coaches gets too starstruck and too lights too bright for these guys and go out there and bomb this game?
Ooh, you know, that's a good one. I don't think Sirianni. I think Sirianni, for the most part, trusts his players more than anything. I know that he's essentially going to have to just. I know that he knows when to pull it back and he knows when to turn up. I feel like he's a very, very much so of a player's guy. So I do believe that he's really going to also depend on the emotions of our players to also go from there. And whereas we saw Doug Peterson, you knew he was able to lead the locker. He was able to lead the team. For crying out loud, he brought the Jacksonville Jaguars to the divisional round this year, you know? So we've actually seen that. I guess with Sirianni, we haven't seen what he's able to do on his own just yet. But he comes off to me as a player's guy. So I do think that he'll continue to ride off their emotions before anything else. I don't think that the moment will be too big for these players because we still have some key guys from the Jake Elliott's, Lane Johnson, Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey. You know, we have some key guys. I was in that 2017 squad that did it before. That'll be able to naturally rally the team. And if I'm the coach, if I'm Sirianni myself, and it's my first time in the stage, I will look at those guys as well, the Fletcher Cox. You know, I'll look at those guys and be like, you guys been here before. You guys know what to do. You know, they're going to be looking at you guys. I'm looking at you guys as well. Just let me know what I can do.
Do your thing. Let me know.
I'm going to still do my part as a coach, but I trust you guys to go ahead and lead this team as well. So I do believe that might be where he could be coming from.
And you know how some people say Dougie P is the greatest Eagles coach of all time. A lot of people say Andy Reid, but you know they always say, you know, there are some that say Dougie P because he was the first one to bring it home. You know what I'm saying? Nick Sirianni. What would this put Nick Sirianni in terms of greatest coaches the Eagles ever have if he goes out this Sunday and do what I know he's going to do and win the Super Bowl?
I mean, you have to put him up there at that point in time. It's only going to be his second year. He has won Super Bowl already. At that point, I mean, he's already the second best coach. I think that Dougie P did in that 3-year stretch from 2017, 2018, 2019, where 2017 we won the Super Bowl. 2018 we were an Alshon drop away from going back to the championship game, and then in 2019 we were one and done. But however, Dougie P still brought us to that point in time and kept us relevant for 3 straight years. So Sirianni, I mean, he's going to be definitely a close second. I do think that he'll already surpass Andy Reid because when it comes to coaches or players, you know, McNabb will never be the greatest quarterback in Eagles history. You know what I mean?
He was before we won a Super Bowl.
He was
like talking about McNabb.
And a lot of people still might say that, but they're always eager to see who will replace McNabb. You know what I mean? Like if I'm a Patriots fan, I'm going to be sitting there and being like, well, no one's going to replace Tom Brady. Or if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm not going to be like, well, no one's ever going to probably replace Patrick Mahomes. You know, or Steelers fan with the Bradshaws, Roethlisberger. I think we're always eager to see, well, who could go ahead and surpass McNabb? Because at the end of the day, McNabb couldn't win the big one for us. And it's all about winning that Super Bowl. We just want to see results.
Sold his soul for Chunky Campbell soup in that Super Bowl too. That's why we lost.
Ain't that something?
Get their dynasty team.
Right.
I'm mad about that one. I always had to say that whenever I think about
we got the redemption though. We beat the Patriots in 2017, and they'll never be able to not hear it ever again because we'll let them know as well. They can go ahead and remind us of 04. We'll continue reminding them of 2017.
Jalen, you know, second year starting in a Super Bowl, he win it. Is he the best Eagles quarterback of all time? Does he jump? Because from right now, from what he's done, I'm already putting him at number 1. You know, I love McNabb. I love Randall. I love Vic. I love, you know, even Carson that year, you know, 17 was a great year for him. You know what I'm saying? But what Jalen's done in this short period of time, man, I'm saying he's the best we've ever had.
Yeah, I saw a comment. I think Sal Palatino.
Too, man. Close go to. He won that first one for us.
I think Sal Palatino really said it best when he was like, "This might be the best Eagles team ever," because I truly believe that this overall is the best Eagles team ever.
For sure.
That being said, when it comes to the quarterback situation itself, I mean, y'all know I love my Foles. I think Foles himself. Foles broke some records from 7 passing touchdowns in the game to damn near 500 yards against the Texans, and the playoff run that he had. I think that passing wise, Foles was able to distribute a lot of phenomenal quarterback performances. Although he gave us a lot of average and mediocre performances, he gave us some godlike performances as well. And I'm always going to be like that. That's always a bizarre career for me with Nick Foles. With Wentz, started off hot, and even his numbers. The following year after 2017 still wasn't that bad. However, you just saw that he just was losing it. He just wasn't able to keep that mental strong anymore. And then with McNabb, I mean, he consistently got us there, consistently got us to the game, but was never able to do it. So with Jalen Hurts, if he wins this Sunday, it's a question you ask. If he wins this Sunday, will he be? I mean, I will put him up there. I'll put him as the top 3, 2, 1. I think I would love to see a good 3-4 years. It don't have to be winning another Super Bowl. I would not care, or not that I would not care, but I wouldn't be demanding another Super Bowl. But if he gives us another 2-3 years of good prime quarterback play, then by golly, he's running away with that title, But I do think that we'll be crowning him, and we'll be eager to crown him. Hell, he could go ahead and go off next year and win MVP. Then we'll probably be like, he's the best quarterback ever in Eagles history. So,
If he loses this though, is he still having to prove it? Now are you looking at, are we really going to play him? Say he loses this Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Say the Eagles lose by like 10 points. He throws like 2 picks. Now, is it back to being, he needs to prove it, or the season's already done? He's already made his mark. No matter what we paying this guy moving forward, and he's that dude still because he lost to Patty and Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Well, at the end of the day, we want to see how he was going to look. Again, one thing about the Chiefs defense, it's not the Niners defense. So we expect a better performance from Jalen Hurts. We expect him to potentially go toe-to-toe with Mahomes, because with Mahomes going up against a tougher defense, I think that our defense is tougher than Jacksonville, and our defense is tougher than the Bengals. So I do think that they're both going to be in a toe-to-toe matchup where the Chiefs defense is nowhere near as competitive compared to the Niners as well. And so with that being said, I'm over here at a point in time where if he just craps the bed in the national championship game, it does make you almost concerned, like, well, you don't want to bring up the college point in time where they bench him in the national championship game. So, so if he blows it in the Super Bowl, is he just not the quarterback to perform in the highest level? But I'll for sure be waiting for him to give himself another chance to get back to the big stage. I would hope that he doesn't fizzle out like a Cam Newton. I do believe that style of play could be dangerous. So I do hope for him to establish himself more as a pocket passer, because also being at that Bears game, I saw how we were running with him, and he was taking shots that led to that shoulder injury. So I hope that, that itself will continue to improve, just so we don't see any more hits like that could cost him a season, more games, and regression. So, yeah, I would give him that chance to still prove himself to be a top quarterback in this organization, even if he loses this game.
Nice, man. Yeah, and even that one, he gets sacked too, man. You know what I'm saying? When he gets sacked, I think that was off of a sack where he got hurt. You know what I'm saying? So people always like, hey, it's a running thing. For me, he's one of the smartest runners out there. He knows how to get out of bounds. He knows how to slide. He knows how to fall. When Carson was here, he didn't know how to slide to save his life. He was diving forward. He couldn't never get it down. But we got to go out there, and he kind of protects himself good enough. Knows how to throw the ball away when there's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? So I really think this is going to be something special for him. I really think he deserves every. I heard his agent say they're about to back up the Brinks truck, and I think he's going to get all that money. And with a GM like Howard Roseman, I'm not worried about his contract. It's going to be conducive, because I know one thing for sure. It probably won't kick into this year's free agency. You know what I'm saying? We'll still be able to have some money this year. It might kick in next year. And even then, you know how Kyle knows how to manipulate the system, man. He's the best GM in football. You can't win, GM of the year twice and not be considered the best in the game right now. So the Eagles got a lot of bets going for them. And I think that's why, like I said, you guys were being nice earlier. My score prediction is 42-17. I think it's going to be a total blowout. I don't even see these guys. They're not, like I always say, there's levels to this shit, And the Eagles are right here. And like we said, all those little games where we didn't play 100, we still won most of those games. You know what I'm saying? Jalen Hurts is going to be 17-1 once he wins this game. That means he only lost one football game this whole year. The game against Dallas, we all know if Jalen Hurts plays that game, we don't lose that game. You know what I'm saying? It meant you gave up the ball 3 times, and put them in scoring position. You look at the Saints game. We don't lose that game if Jalen Hurts playing for sure. Those are games that we know for sure. If our quarterback was healthy playing, we don't lose. And we could be sitting here talking 17-0 right now. For real, I feel like we beat ourselves all 3 games. It was never a team better than the Eagles. Like you said, I believe this is the greatest, Eagles team of all time. And I've watched Eagles for a long time. I'm 41 now. I don't watch a lot of Eagles football. And this is definitely the best team I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, the sky's the limit for a team. I don't think, like I said, people have been saying I'm crazy, but they thought it was crazy last week. A lot of people even saying we're going to lose last week to the number 1 defense with both of them was. I was like, listen.
I couldn't see that.
Where to start? Like, whenever your team only got a couple of starts, if you notice the games where players do good, they're not the star players that do good. We shut down every star player we played this year, whether it's quarterback, receiver, linebacker, from Michael Parsons and Nick Bosa. We shut all these cats down. It's the nobodies that do good against us, the people that we didn't expect. I remember one game it was like the backup tight end, the third string tight end had like 2 touchdowns on it. It's like those type guys that you don't expect to even make plays that make it interesting with us. So we know what started out there. We know we got to go in there and stop Patty Mahomes and Kels. We know we got to go in there and stop Jones on that front line. So other than that, it's like it's about to be a rout. And I really think
that would make my Sunday very easy if you ask me. I would definitely enjoy that.
What are you gonna be doing? You gonna be barbecuing?
So I'm up in NY. I know my girl, she has her friend, like the people that we went to the Bears game with are actually flying into Philly. So I don't know where they're gonna be at. We're all gonna try to link up and probably just watch it, I don't know what spot it could possibly be. So we're gonna drive down to Philly though to watch the game though. How about you?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna be here, at home watching the game as usual down here in Bama. My goal is to go to the parade though. I'm like, I can't go to Arizona. That's kind of pricey to go watch the Super Bowl. But I am looking to go to that parade in Philly, 2 days after, whenever they decide to have that parade. So that's gonna be a good one, man. I'm excited. I already know what's gonna happen. I'm worried about, what I'm gonna wear to the parade. How where I'm gonna go. What section of the parade I'm gonna be at. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure I'm by the stage. I can record the. You know what I'm saying? Get your podcast on while you're out there, man. But Eagles fans just need to know this is about to be a Super Bowl blowout, and the Eagles are about to win, and it's not going to be close, and it's going to really show. Like everybody forgets, like the Rams year, the Tampa Bay years, like they lost games too. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But when it came to playoff time, you seeing what they did. You know what I'm saying? They dominated like they're supposed to. And I think that's what it is. Everybody was worried about, these other teams once the playoffs started. What about this team, that team? They're hot right now. They're hot. They're not on our level. Don't worry about it. Like We Build Different, you know what I'm saying? I even got some We Build Different merch. Make sure you guys check it out at the store. We Build Different merch. Go check it out because we are a different team. They're not on our level, and they're about to get smoked in the Super Bowl.
Damn right, man. Again, I would love that to go ahead and be the case. And if that's the case, man, I'll be sitting back with my cocktail in my hand and just be sitting and enjoying myself another Super Bowl victory, making it.
I want to get me one of the Crown Royal bags I've seen. They got custom Eagle Crown Royal bags.
That's dope.
I need to call someone in Philly. Someone in Philly to send me one and buy one. I'll Cashapp you the money, whatever you need to do. I need to get one of those bags. That's some like iconic stuff right there. The Crown Royal had a nice little bag there. I like me some Crown from time to time too as well. So. But I know before I get you out of here, buddy, you got a new show out too, my guy. I want you to let everybody know about that so they can go tap in on it. I already subscribed to Key TV and what you guys are doing over there. So let them know about the show, man.
Oh man, I'm letting y'all know the show's called Sports Fan, and that's exactly what it is. Sports Fan is really depicted off our lives, like you, BG, like mine, like everybody else that comes on here and do this influencing online or even broadcasting wise. You know, I definitely wanted to expose the lifestyle that we have, you know, because these teams are part of our lives. You know, we really live and breathe off of them. But at the end of the day, we also have to try our best to leave that world to attend our regular lives, to attend our families, to attend our daily living at the end of the day as well. So it was so fun to go ahead and integrate that. It's on Key TV network as well. And yeah, just go ahead and watch it. It's sitcom based, just like, you know, the sitcoms that you grown to know and love from the Cheers to the Friends to the Fresh Princes and so on and such. So we're really trying to bring such a nostalgic feeling back into a new style of format where again we're bringing in online sports influencing into this. So yes, guys, please check it out because again, if you love this team, and you'll see, obviously for copyright reasons we couldn't use the Eagles.
I know, I seen that. I watched it after. You just call them Eagles? So we knew what you were talking about, and even the whole little dog.
Come on now.
You guys need to watch it. If it's up right now, right? That's another question I have. Is that going to be the way it is? You know, because I think that's a cool little technique. Is it going to be like kind of short form? Yeah, so you can binge watch it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
It's going to be short formed. So each episode is going to be like from like 6 to 8 minutes long, you know. So it's going to be nice, quick, fun, short stories for everybody to go ahead and see. We are probably going to drop this episode after the Super Bowl, so maybe that Monday, because we want to leave the Super Bowl for the day for the birds at that point in time. And I was even seeing, you know, some other shows were pushing them to release on Friday, the day or the day before the Super Bowl. So it's supposed to be every single Sunday. So after this Sunday, we'll be making it every single Sunday for y'all to watch. So yeah, let's go ahead.
Today we're gonna be able to get some of that Beagles merch.
Hey, we already kicking it up right now. All right, we're hitting the manufacturers. People gonna be Beagle fans now.
Because I'm from Cali, I was like, did you just put up here Bakersfield?
Bakersfield being. Oh, you'll see. We have another team. We have other teams as well that'll be mentioned. And again, it's great. We brought another sitcom legend from Family Matters, Darius McCrary, on there as well. He's going to be making an appearance sometime during the show. And again, you know, the whole point again is to expose this world that we live in and the world that we've grown to know and showcase ourselves as well, to know that, yeah, guys, there's a life behind this, you know?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I can't wait for the next episode. And like you said, where do you watch it? You go on Key TV, right? Because are you going to have it on your channel too, or just on Key TV?
So I'll be doing.
The episode was on Key TV, but I noticed you had like the trailer on your channel.
Yeah, so what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be reposting it to go ahead and direct on over to Key TV, so I'll be able to, but I'll be reposting it on my shorts. So the shorts, I'll be dropping previews on my shorts, and then as well, when it comes to the actual post, you'll be seeing me reposting it in the comment sections, and you know, so for y'all to click on the post, and it will direct y'all to the show. So yeah, just subscribe to Key TV, man, and check it out, Sports Fan.
Yeah, CJ Pittsburgh Games, put in a link, and it's also in the description of this video. So you guys go check it out, because I watched it. It is awesome, man. And I'm so proud of you, man. You're doing big things, my guy. Doing big things. Hey, congratulations on fatherhood. You know what I'm saying? That's another big step for you, man. I'm glad that you're getting your thing going over there, man.
Man, really appreciate that, man. Yeah, definitely preparing ourselves for it. And, you know, it definitely would be coming into this world where, hey, he's coming in as a champion if the damn Eagles win. I'm going to tell you that.
Right, that's the first thing he said was the Eagles bib.
Yeah,
you know that already?
Boy, yep.
Yeah.
You already know. You already know.
Let's go, man. I'm about to get you. Yeah, we're gonna get you some of your boy.
Oh, man, we're already on it. You know,
look at him! Look at him!
You know, they already done send it on over. They already done send it on over. It's like they already knew how easy this was going to be. There's like, we ain't gonna waste no time. We already know the kind of fan this baby is gonna go ahead and be. And I was like, yep, even more. You know,
he got a lot.
Yeah, a lot
Like, you're
a
gonna have
lot
the
of
crib, you're gonna have the whole like bedding and everything going on with the Eagles.
yeah. I mean, pretty much essentially, this was supposed to be the room when we come online, but then we had to switch it up to a baby room. So it's all right now being under construction, and then
Is Kiki an Eagles fan?
oh, she is. Yeah,
Like, was she before you guys?
no.
You convert her.
Of course. There's a video I done posted on my Instagram, and she's singing the fight song. We was at the Giants game, and in the Giants divisional round game, and they scored a touchdown, and she already knew the words. It's funny because we went to 4 games this year together. We went to both Giants games, the one in the Meadowlands, and in the divisional round. We went to Chicago because we went out there for Christmas time, and I figured, oh, well, the Eagles are there the week before. Let's go to the game and stay in Chicago for Christmas. And then this was back when we were staying in California. We did the road trip to Arizona. So that road trip in Arizona is where it all started, where she realized how deep we traveled and how passionate we were. She was just like, wow, this is this whole entire culture over here. And I said, you haven't seen a half of it. You got to go ahead and go to a game in Philly just so you could really understand.
I had to do it this year. Me and Miss Bergay went to that Monday night, and listen, that was an 8-hour tailgate. And if you go to E-Rock, you know, my shout out to E-Rock, he definitely caught me slipping because I was passed out. And by the second quarter to the third quarter, you know what I'm saying, I was straight up passed out because we had a 7-hour tailgate. And it was just I want to soak up all of it. You know what I'm saying? I had no limits. I was drinking, partying. It's like the best tailgate I've ever been to in my life. You know, just being able to, like you said, to sing the fight song inside the stadium was amazing, man. Like, it was definitely, like I said, the best day of my life going to that Eagles game. And I went to like 7, like you talked about earlier. I went to, what's up? I went to that 7-touchdown game in Oakland. You know, I was sitting next to Nick Foles' parents when it happened. You know, my daughter took pictures with Deshaun Jackson's mom that day. That was a huge day for me in terms of Eagle. And I've been to a lot of California Eagle games, but to watch it, be in Philly, eating a Philly cheesesteak, you know what I'm saying? Like doing all of it at once together was amazing, man. It was amazing.
Man, I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it, bro. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it, bro. And that's what it's all about, man, for us to go ahead and experience it in our own way. And, you know, at that point in time, bro, you're going to want to go ahead and come back and experience it more, man. There's many stories to go ahead. So much
more that I'm selling my house. We're moving there this year.
Oh, there you go, man. There you go. Yeah. Congratulations on that, bro.
Big move on that one. We're coming to go do that whole podcasting thing down there, you know, in Philly, soak up the whole environment and have some fun with it, man. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
Well, congratulations on that, man. And best of luck. But most importantly, man, enjoy this Sunday.
Oh, yeah. We're going to win blowout fashion. Thank you again for coming on, man, Darius. Let's see if we can get you for a little bit after we win the Super Bowl, too. Let's see if we can get something going on there, too, my guy.
Sounds good, bro. You stay up, okay?
All right, brother. Have a good one.
All right. Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby.
Bye.
Peace. Yeah, guys, man, it's going to be a good one. Shout out to Darius, dog. Make sure you guys go check out that Key TV, man. That is some amazing stuff they got going over there. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing the next episode because it is that good, man. And, you know, he's representing, you know, like I said, for all content creators should be out there, you know, supporting it, sharing it, you know, on all your platforms, just because it's a show that he got, which I think is genius, you know, to talk about the whole lifestyle of being, you know, content creator. You know, we support our favorite teams, you know, how strong our blood is, you know, no matter where we live at, you know, we're still just as strong as the next that live in Philly or whatnot. So, you know, go check out the show. The Beagles are the team on the show, but we know he's talking about our Birds, and we are about to blow out these KC Chiefs. So be on the lookout for that. We got another show tonight. Check us out a little bit later. Probably in another 45 minutes. I'll be on here with Tone the Shield. So make sure you guys come back. Check that out. Hit that like, share the content. You know what I'm saying? Go get you some We Build Different merch. So, you know, people are buying it, starting to come off the shelves. Go get you some We Build Different merch, man. It's on my store. So go check it out, man. And fly, Eagles fly. See you in a little bit. I'm out. Peace.